Greetings and salutations, guys. Welcome back to the ALEuminati. I am, as always, your host, Lord Badger, joined by my wonderful sidekick, Mr. Craig.
Sidekick? I'm like Robin. I've been demoted to Robin. For fuck's sake.
I get to do the intros, I get to say what the fuck I want.
Does Robin ever have a good day?
He gets early retirement when Joker does his back in with a crowbar.
Yeah, that's something to look forward to. I'm really looking forward to that.
I'll just throw you to the brave mob with other people that come at us.
I'm going to get caught, I'm going on. Yeah, the sidekick Craig.
But no, we are back again this week. As you can tell the title, it's one of my favourite conspiracy theories from my younger years. The Black Knight satellite.
And I will say, out of every single one we've done so far, and ones that we're probably going to do down the line, this is the one I want to be true the most.
Yes, this is...
I so want this to be true that we've got the idea of not only is there a species out there, another species, alien species, but not only that, but they're watching us. And they can intervene, and then just the idea of we're not alone. These guys know we're here, and they're keeping their beady eye on us to make sure we don't get a bit crab.
It's like us putting a fucking camera in a rainforest to watch some chimps or something.
Yeah,
you know, it's that kind of...
so the chimp picks up for the first time, picks up that tool and goes, oh, that's chiselling. It's like, got something.
We've got it, yeah. It's like, oh, they're progressing. So yeah, this is, for you that don't know, the Black Knight satellite is the conspiracy that claims that a spacecraft of extraterrestrial origin is in near polar orbit of the Earth, and NASA is covering up its existence and its origin.
That first line, let's just say it wasn't extraterrestrial in origin.
Yeah.
NASA covering things up I can completely buy into.
Yeah, I'm moving into that completely. According to some UFO conspiracists, the Black Knight satellite is an artificial satellite of extraterrestrial origin that has orbited the Earth for approximately 13,000 years.
We'll get into where 13,000 years comes from.
Yeah.
I'm sure, but... yes, it's quite the claim.
So, the claim is, there's this satellite that was detected in orbit before man was capable of launching satellites. And it's been there for about 13,000 years, and it's been monitoring our progress, our evolution, if you like. And further on, we're going to get to where, when we reach a certain level of technology, we start getting signals from it. Or maybe it's always been putting out signals and just waiting for us to be able to receive it, decode it, and answer it. And then that triggers this. The way I was looking as a kid when I first saw this was that I always saw it as it's not like a spaceship or an observation platform. It's more like not just like a camera in woods.
Yes,
it's there and it's putting out these signals, and we have no way of picking them up. Then when we start using radio waves and stuff like that, then we start getting these signals. A little bit further down the line, we can understand them, we can reply to them, and as soon as we send that reply, that then pings back to home world and the aliens come.
Yeah, I mean...
Because I'm thinking that's a very efficient way to do it. If you found life, you're an alien species, you found life on hundreds of planets, so you just drop these fucking nanny cams on hundreds of planets, and then when one answers, you know where to go to.
Yeah, but it's the imagine the efficiency of this. So this is talking. So if we use that as an example of what could be true, think about. I mean, I know a light year is a measurement of distance rather than time.
Yeah.
So it's a measure of distance. So let's just say you've got it's going back to 50,000 light years. There's something 5 light years away or whatever. Let's just say that for
yeah.
And then there's a signal that needs to send back. It's like, oh, these guys are fucking on it. There's something happening. It has to send a radio signal 5 light years in that direction because that's what it's emitting, effectively. But it's a really shit way to communicate back to your home planet.
It sends a radio signal to us.
Yeah, but that's all it can... Well, you're saying that it can only send a radio signal to us, but it's got its own technology to send back.
Yeah, so it's sending radio signals to us, but then sending a subspace message back home.
Right, okay.
And then what's the sail? So they're 10 light years away. Well, they might have faster than light travel. They might have warp speed or subspace travel or whatever.
Yeah.
It's exactly so they could be here in minutes. But they don't not wait for radio signals and they travel by radio. It's
Right, okay.
It's like once they get to this point, they're ready to be enslaved. Once they get to this point, they're ready to be taught this.
We've already been enslaved. We've already talked about Planet X and Anunnaki before.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It could be they're ready to be enslaved, they're ready to be taught the truth, it might be our truth, but it's the way for us to get to a certain level of technology. So it's beaming radio waves down to Earth. As soon as it receives that radio wave back, then it sends a subwave message to its home world.
It's a very, in a different way, it's a very Edgar Casey type of...
Oh, it's very Edgar Casey.
Type of theory where he says, well, people don't know, he's a very famous American psychic who lots of things came true, but that's because of the way that, where he's able to manipulate.
It's very Nostradamus-esque in his.
But one of the things he said is that within the Sphinx, within the Hall of Records, within the Sphinx, as soon as mankind gets to a level of consciousness, for where we're all on this conscious level, will the Hall of Records will expose itself to the world, and it will say exactly where humans came from. But we have to be at a certain conscious level. It's very similar. Once we get to this level, this conscious level, this technological level, aliens will turn up and go, "You're on our level now," or not like you're on our level, but you have some significance.
You're capable of understanding now,
Yeah.
and you've got a level of understanding.
So that's actually part of my notes as to what some people's hubris was.
Yeah.
Well, must be important by now.
They must be part by now. Like we're fucking ants, mate.
We've got nuclear bombs. We're actually getting into lower
Yeah,
space.
that's why no one came. That's why no one comes to us, because we've got fucking nukes and we're idiots. We're like chimps with an AK-47.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. Can you imagine just giving a chimpanzee a nuke?
Yeah.
That's exactly what they must think of us. It's like, oh shit. It's like, they're evolving this fast, the technology's evolving this fast, and they're going, ooh, play with a nice toy.
It's ridiculous. So,
Anyway.
one thing I want to mention as well, like, so, the origin of the Black Knight is a bit weird, right? Because
Yes, it is.
I can't find any one place where the name Black Knight was first used.
No, but it's quite a common. It's quite a common. So when some people have said, like, when they've seen a satellite, they don't know it's a spy satellite. They called it a black satellite. Or we also had the Black Knight rockets. The UK launched the Black Knight rockets.
I'm gonna get to them later on.
So,
yeah.
but for something that's unknown, calling it a Black Knight, it's not uncommon.
Well, it was sort of like a knight protecting standing over us, or something, or it's quite ominous because it's waiting to. And so I don't know, but what I'm saying is, like, the Black Knight conspiracy theory. We don't know where
It was coined.
it was coined.
Yeah.
We don't know when it was first used in this sense. For this,
It wasn't Time Magazine. I'll just find the notes while you're talking. Time Magazine.
we do know that the legend is often retrospectively dated.
Yeah.
That's something I see come up all the time, right? So there's no. What I do in my notes now, I try to put it into a kind of. Long-term viewers will be used to how I work now. I've tried putting it into a kind of like a timeline,
Yeah, and it's important.
right? Which I always try to do. But it's important to note on this on other shows where I put stuff in a timeline so we know when the series of events happened. There isn't a series of events with a Black Knight.
There is.
But it's just.
The retrospectively created.
Yeah, so we've got this picture. So when the timeline, I'm going to go to that picture first, and then go back to the beginning because.
Let's to 88 first.
Yeah, just because I've had a few people who have come personally pulled me in the pub and gone, fucking it when you go, we're getting to that bit, right? So we're getting the fucking picture first, alright? Then because that's the bit that everyone knows, and then we'll go back.
I think because this is quite, well, in all honesty, this is quite a small conspiracy compared to some of the fucking monumental shit we've tried to tackle before. I don't necessarily think we need to go, let's go to 1998 before we go to 1898.
No, I'm just stripping up a guy in the pub.
Fuck the guy in the pub.
No, I'm going to fucking show him up, right? Because then if I go to the pub and he complains next time, I know he's not fucking watched.
You're a dickhead, you're ruining my show.
So anyway, I'm going to show a picture first and we'll go back. But point I'm making is all the other bits we've got on the timeline are not a series of events in one narrative.
That's right.
They're all different events that have happened independently of each other. and then conspiracy theories have pulled them together onto one timeline and gone, this is Black Knight.
Yeah, so there's lots of...
So like the Tesla thing,
Yeah.
it was like, we got the photo in 98, I think it was, or something like 88. Was it the photo?
1998, ST8.
Yeah.
88.
ST88.
In 1998.
98, yeah. We got that photo, and then people have gone, oh, this Tesla, this must have been this. Long delay echoes, this must have been Black Knight. So when it's been retrospectively backdated, people take that picture as a start point and then put stuff on, found stuff that matches after.
I'm a bit hesitant to go 1998 first.
Alright,
No, and the only reason I'd say so is because if we talk about the 1998 content, which is the most important content, we're only going to talk about what potentially could outcome of that, and make the rest of it moot. Like,
yeah.
What's the point of going to?
Fuck you, Teddy.
You've been overruled. Right, sorry. I do genuinely think, even though you put it out there now, that this is all this evidence has been retrospectively added, and people have gone, well, this must be.
So I tried putting it into a timeline of events.
I think it's important that we crescendo with 1998.
So
sorry, Terry. I'm not sorry at all.
So yeah, the origin of Black Knight legend is often retrospectively dated back to natural extraterrestrial repeating sources supposedly heard in 1899 radio experiments of Nikola Tesla, and long-delayed echoes first heard by amateur radio operator Jørgen Hals in Oslo, Norway in 1928. In 1954, UFO researcher Donald Keyhoe told newspapers that the United States Air Force had reported 2 satellites orbiting Earth had been detected, and at that time no country had the technology to launch a satellite. One of my favourite bits here that I've got, I kept this bit in my research. Skeptics have noted that Keyhoe had been promoting a UFO book at the time, and the news stories were likely written tongue-in-cheek and not intended to be taken seriously. Like we always say, follow the fucking money.
Yeah. So we'll talk about, when we get to that point, we'll talk about that. But yeah, you are absolutely right. Yeah.
So we're going to go Tesla first then, yeah?
Well, I've got more to add to the timeline.
I've got them.
Yeah, we've got...
I've got Gordon Cooper and some other things, but...
So we've got 1960, Time magazine reported the retrograde orbit of a satellite.
Yeah.
In 1960.
In February 1960, Time reported that US Navy detected a dark object thought to be a Soviet spy satellite in orbit.
Yeah.
A follow-up article confirmed that the object... Well, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
In fact, and what you're just about to say there is not even true. So,
in 1963, astronaut Gordon Cooper supposedly reported a UFO sighting during his 15th orbit in Mercury 9.
Correct.
And in 1973, Scottish author Duncan Lunnan analysed the long-delayed radio echoes received by Hals and others, and speculated they could possibly originate from a 13,000-year-old alien probe located in orbit around the Earth's moon. He suggested that the probe may have originated from a planet located in the solar system of star Epsilon Bootis. More on that later.
And it's actually quite a nice constellation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then space debris photographed in 1998 during the STS-88 mission was widely claimed to be the Black Knight satellite.
Then we've got, I don't know what else you've got.
That's my timeline. You've got a few more in there, have you?
I don't know if we class it as a timeline, but there's certainly more to add to the conspiracy, what people have been seeing.
Yeah,
I
I kind of touched across the key points rather than going into too much detail.
That's fine. So that timeline is fine. What I would like to say is just before we get, when we've done, because we're going to get to 1998 ST88, that's the kind of our end point by the looks of things. There's a couple of things that have happened since then that people have talked about, that I've seen. I won't mind adding a bit of those before we go. Let's try and...
Yeah, I want to talk about the 9 for a little bit.
Okay. I want to talk about...
I'm assuming you've got them in your research? Or?
I have,
yeah.
but I also want to talk about some video footage of the supposed Black Knight getting shot down.
I cut this out because it's one of my... it's one of the YouTube channels, it's Secure Team 10.
Yeah, but I can explain what that's about.
And I've subscribed to Secure Team 10 because not only am I a conspiracy theorist, I enjoy a good fucking laugh.
Yeah, hilarious.
My favourite one being a UFO that changes. It got some footage of a UFO changing shape mid-flight in Newcastle, England. It's a fucking black bag in the wind.
Oh my god.
That's my favourite one of all, but yeah. God bless you, Tyler. Nima bless you.
We want to talk about the main statue, about the main statue where it looks like a spaceship.
Yeah.
And the X-73B audible test flight.
You've got a bit more than I have.
I want to talk. No, I'm saying not that we. I want to tread on any toes, but I just want to make sure that we're we're kind of
on the same timeline.
Yeah, so people who aren't watchers of the show, just so you're very aware, this might be us saying the same thing over and over to people who do watch often, but we pick a subject.
Yep, so we take it turns to pick a subject. So this Monday, I turned and went, should we do Black Knight? I reckon we should do Black Knight this week. I enjoy that theory. And all I know about is what I'd known from like decades ago when I first saw it on TV and stuff. So then we researched Black Knight independently. I don't know what you've researched. This is the first time I've seen his research now and I've not looked at it. When he's talking just now, that's the first time hearing of what you've got of research.
And the first time I'm kind of trying to half read his phone at the same time.
Yeah, because this is, we want the idea of it being informative, without bias, so we can both research independently. And also that kind of...
Unscripted completely.
Unscripted because it's them blokes down the pub type chat and...
Yeah, absolutely. But a bit more informed than the pub because, you know, generally when you're down the pub, do you remember hearing about that? Oh yeah, but I don't really have any detail about it. But, you know, we want to have a pub chat with a bit more detail. But we get a week to research, come away with a decision. And at the very end, we are not allowed to sit on the fence.
There's no splinters in our asses allowed.
We either believe or we don't believe. There's no sitting in the middle.
Yeah.
There's been a few occasions in some of our videos where I've had an arse full of splinters. I've had to pull them out and choose a side.
Yeah. I've had my feet against the fence and my head looking over.
But I think you could be like, well, this feels nice over here.
And there's been episodes where we've both been so far on opposite sides of the fence we can't see the fence in between us.
The line's a dot.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to point. But yeah, just for people who don't watch our videos, or that's the first time seeing one.
That's kind of how we say. Not that's why there's such long videos. It's why they're like 2.5, 3 hours long is because we just like to fucking ramble like this and really deep dive into what's going on.
But we also believe that maybe not many people watch us, but I think that it's important that we try and cover all bases, just to show people that we're not just coming to a consensus through. It's not a gut feeling. I've looked everything that I've seen so far. Unless people at home can disprove me and put in the comments a new link, a new bit of evidence which I could change my mind.
Like I was saying, my opinion is based on the knowledge I have to hand.
Absolutely.
There's been somewhere we've had moon landings. The moon landings we've had to go back and watch that because that one where we both grew up, I think it was our first conspiracy theory, we both grew up thinking the moon landings were faked. And it destroys us at the end.
Yeah, and that, do you know what? And we've said this before. In a way, this channel it's a bit of a gutter really because there's so many things, all these conspiracies which I believe to be true. Not necessarily believe to be true, but
just took us granted.
It could be. Imagine and
imagine
great topics.
If that's true. It's brilliant. It's amazing.
But 99% of the topics we talked about so far, I've come away going, that's another one of my childhood fucking destroyed because that's not real, is it?
And then apart from destroying my childhood, I also like to think, you know, it's not just a fucking 10-second YouTube, 10-minute YouTube video that skips over. Like, no, you can now go down to the pub and talk about this and be fully informed on what you're talking about. And it only took you 2.5 hours watching this video rather than the 30 hours we spent researching.
There's some of our videos. I mean, I don't even know if they've released some of them yet, but there's some. Fucking hell! There was one we were till 3 in the morning, wasn't there? And we're just at the end we were like, I'm
knackered. Yeah.
This is emotionally destroyed me because I've put so much into this and gone, fucking hell, this is tiring. But that's not this video.
It's not this one. This one's not going to be that long. Right.
It says that, and in 3 hours' time.
Yeah, we'll see. So let's start with Nikola Tesla then.
Nikola Tesla. Yeah.
Right.
Let's go Nikola Tesla.
So one of the main pieces of evidence for the Black Knight satellite that conspiracy theories point to is a strange signal received by none other than Nikola Tesla in 1899. I love the way this was written on the site I got this from. It says, Tesla had been given $100,000 by Jacob Astor, who later died aboard the Titanic, to create a new lighting system, which Nikolai naturally blew on creating experiments at his Colorado Springs laboratory.
This is like saying to a smackhead, go pay your rent. It's like, I could pay my rent, or I could have a fucking great time. Just goes,
I could pay my rent, I could go get a lot of smack. It's like, alright, Nikolai, here's $100,000, which in 1899, $100,000. It's a fuck ton of money.
It's got to be tens of millions.
We tens of millions today, easily.
Got to be.
Right? And he's just gone, don't invent any crazy shit, I just want some new lighting. Okay.
Yes, boss!
We're going to the fucking mountain, we're going to speak to aliens, woo!
It's so Do you know what? Fair play, Nikolai.
I fucking love the guy.
He's just sat there going, do you know what? I just want to do my dreams, and I'm going to go fucking do them, and some dickhead give me some money, and I'm just going to go, right then, going to go do what I
I
want.
do genuinely believe he's one of the greatest minds that ever lived, and I think that if...
It's also one of the craziest minds as well.
Yeah, but... I
He
would
was in
say...
love with a pigeon.
Yeah. He was in love with a pigeon, as a man would be in love with a woman, and he thought the pigeon loved him back.
Exactly.
Equally, yeah.
So there was an edge.
There's a fine line between genius and insanity.
I just want to know, as long as they can get close to the pigeon like a man would with a woman. I wasn't there, I can't say.
But I just think he's...
I just know the pigeon can't fly again after that.
You know, if some of his inventions aren't being squashed, we'd have had like wireless electricity now, and how better would our society be? We would have climate change possibly, and
Yeah.
you know, but a lot of his inventions were squashed or just vanished and disappeared.
Gobbled up by Bush.
But this, yeah.
Oh no, not
Trump.
Trump.
Trump's granddad, wasn't it? Or great granddad, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the other hand, they were completely fucking mental.
But wonderfully mental.
Yeah, I mean, nothing says like fucking big dick energy. Like sat in a chair reading a newspaper with like fucking 100 lightning spikes around you.
Nicola, you alright?
Yeah, what's that? Just reading paper.
Oh, is my hair sticking up again? Oh, sorry.
The guy bought a fucking Faraday cage and sat inside it. Like,
He also thought he time travelled through his Faraday cage.
he did think he time traveled in his Faraday cage.
So what we're saying is, I think what picture we're trying to pick with Nikola Tesla is absolute fucking genius.
Absolutely with beard. One of the greatest
Amazing.
human minds to ever have lived.
But you've also got to realise that his mind was on the edge, and he also had some incredible. He said some incredible things that are very, very difficult to swallow.
Yeah.
Shall we say, including where he originally believed that this came from.
Yes, we'll get to that. So, he blew all the money in his Colorado Springs laboratory. During one of these experiments, he recorded a signal that he believed to be artificial in nature and not from an intelligent species not of this earth. It's quoted as saying in his writings, "I felt as though I were present at the birth of the new knowledge or the revelation of the great truth. Even now, at times, I can vividly recall the incident and see my apparatus as though it were actually before me. My first observations positively terrified me, as there was present in them something mysterious, not to say supernatural, and I was alone in my laboratory at night. It was some time afterward when the thought flashed upon my mind that the disturbances I had observed might be due to intelligent control. Although I could not decipher their meaning, it was impossible for me to think of them as having been entirely accidental. The feeling is constantly growing on me that I have been the first to hear the greeting of one planet to another."
Okay. He also stated at the end of that I have a deep conviction that highly intelligent beings exist on Mars. Because he thought.
Yeah, he thought this was coming from Mars.
But he said he heard the signals, and because they were the way that they were interpreted, the way you could put them into maths. So he believes maths was a universal code. But he said the meaning of the signals were 1, 2, 3, 4, and that they couldn't be found unnaturally. That they had to be they were created. Created in maths. And so he was saying, I heard 1, 2, 3, 4. It was coming from Mars, and therefore Mars must have these intelligent beings that exist on Mars.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to touch on that not as much as you did. I had a passing sentence in my research notes here that while the Black Knight theorists believe the signal was sent by satellite, Tesla believed it to be from Mars. While it's not possible to know for certain what he observed, it's possible the signal came from either a lot further away than Tesla thought, or a lot closer than Black Knight conspiracy theorists will accept.
I know the furthest away one. What's the closest one?
So theories suggest he could have observed a signal emitted by faraway celestial objects, such as a pulsar, which we didn't know pulsars existed then.
1968 was it, I think. But
yeah, which it does. I've got here as well. It would have to be very lucky to do so, especially given the equipment he was working with.
Yeah, I don't think it's a pulsar.
And then a study was done into the equipment he was working with. So a study attempted to look at what the equipment he was using could detect.
Yeah.
And they came to the conclusion that it could have been radiation of Jupiter.
Yeah, and that is, I read a couple of things about Jupiter, and the type of interference I thought was from Jupiter, someone recreated.
Yeah.
Saying it sounds very, very similar. Because those type of radio waves were unknown, so he would have picked them up going, because the universe has a natural echo as well, so Jupiter has a natural echo, doesn't it? So yeah, I think when we were talking about, shoehorning things into the Black Knight, he never mentioned there was a satellite around the Earth here.
No, this was retrospectively
so
added in. So this is
it's
where
important to know.
when we can't I wasn't able to in my research pinpoint where the Black Knight first started, where it was coined.
Yeah.
But whenever that started from, I think my research tends to point to the STS-88 photo. Seems to be the first time it blew up. And when people have seen that, people have gone, oh, this is a satellite that's surrounding our planet. Oh, this and this must be what Tesla was speaking to.
Yeah.
Tesla got signals from this, and then when I move on to longer day echoes next, that's where they've gone, oh, and that he's carried on from what Tesla carried on to, and that's why we say retrospectively dated.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important to know that people, in that same way, that they've gone, well, this is one. If it's not the scientific explanation, the other thing could be this, and they're just kind of two completely separate things, and gone, let's just try and.
For me, for my research this week, it's kind of been like, here's this photo that shows the Black Knight satellite, and we didn't know it was there, and we've just discovered it now because we've got a photo of it, and what the fuck could it have been? And look back and see as it interacted and done all that. Tesla spoke to aliens, and he didn't know what he spoke to, and we don't know what he spoke to, but it must be this. Well, he didn't know what he spoke to, and we didn't know this existed, therefore he must have been speaking to this.
Yeah, because they can say, he thought it was Martians, and we go, well, we've got enough evidence to suggest that there's no civilizations on Mars that live right now who are talking to us in numbers. Yeah. He got that wrong, but it must be this.
Well, it's even, he didn't know what he was talking, we don't know what he was talking to. We didn't know this existed. These are two things we didn't know, therefore there must be the same story. That's kind of the logic that's working here.
Yeah, and so other than the fact that I don't know how they merge them together, they're just creating this sowing the seeds of a narrative.
Yeah.
We can safely say that he wasn't speaking to Martians.
We definitely know he wasn't speaking to Martians. Well, 90% sure he wasn't speaking to Martians.
Yeah, we've got no idea what NASA's covering up.
We don't know if there's an underground. I mean, don't forget Randy Kramer said there's 2 races on Mars. So, could have been speaking to them. I love that, just those 2 words, Randy Kramer, boil your piss like 6 months later.
Do you know what? It's like, I would rather see Calvin Phillips wearing a Man United shirt than talk about Randy Kramer. That's how much this topic has hurt my soul.
Just saying, he mentioned there's an insectoid and a humanoid species on Mars.
He did.
Nikolai Tesla could have been speaking to them.
He could.
There we go. So we can't say 100% that he wasn't speaking to people on Mars.
Well, we can, because I also think maybe Randy Kramer might have been that guy who spent all his money on Smack Road and rent.
Just saying. Special was it Secret Space Command Special Sergeant Randy Kramer?
Whatever the fuck he's
retired.
Yeah. Oh, what a wonderful man. And I'm sure
you need to watch the missing minutes of Randy Kramer to see why this is hilarious.
Half an hour breakdown of me. I'm breaking down.
It's not a breakdown of anything, it's just him having a breakdown.
Anyway.
That's basically all we've got on Tesla, really.
And we can ultimately say, we cannot see a defining link. There's absolutely no evidence whatsoever of him linking anything to do with the satellite. And there's plausible scientific explanations about what we think Tesla saw.
Yeah, but I don't think you can rule out him talking to the satellite. Just because you can't prove he was doesn't mean he wasn't.
No, but what I'm suggesting is that scientifically, there's a likelihood that what we've seen from Tesla is he didn't know it existed, but we can recreate what we think he saw and go, well, this is what we think is, and if it can be recreated, it means it's got an explanation.
But what if NASA have answered that message to the Black Knight satellite and it's stopped transmitting now?
It's been shut down.
Well, it's been shut down. I've got in my
I'll
notes.
show you later.
Yeah, I've not seen the video. It's been shut down. I've got in my notes, but it stopped broadcasting in '75.
That's it. Right.
So if we created Tesla's experiments today, we're not going to get the same results because the satellite isn't broadcasting. So we can't say now and go we can say Tesla won't speak to the satellite. We can't say what he was or wasn't speaking to. We can't say he speak to the satellite. We can't say we're radiation true because we can't. We can reproduce as much as we want. If that satellite's being shot down or that satellite stopped broadcasting, then you're taking a very big variable out of the experiment you're trying to recreate.
Okay, I can give you that.
It's like me going, I rang Craig yesterday, but then Kylie rang Craig yesterday. Now I go to ring you today and you're not answering. So therefore Kylie Carter rang you yesterday. When in between that, you've smashed your phone.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that we don't have any evidence that he connected to a satellite at all.
We thought Tesla was a brilliant genius who understood more about this technology than anyone else did.
Yeah.
Saying he got an artificial signal.
Yeah, but he said it's Martians.
He deduced it was Martians.
So what I'm suggesting is you can't have both.
No, you can't. Because if he has no idea there's a 130,000-year-old, 16,000-year-old satellite orbiting our planet, he's not going to think it's a 16,000-year-old satellite. He's going to think it's the nearest thing to Earth, which is Mars.
So what I'm saying is Nikola Tesla, the genius that he was, we can't sit here and go, he didn't know what he was actually receiving, but he could jump to the conclusion that it's a Martian. We can't then use that evidence that he could go, I think it's a Martian, to go, just because he didn't know what it was means we can't discount a certain piece of evidence. Because he clearly said, instead of going, it could be so many things, and he's going, no, it's a fucking Martian.
No, he says he thinks it's from Mars.
I have a deep conviction that highly intelligent beings exist on Mars.
That's fair enough, yeah, from Mars. Right.
So,
but what's more likely, right? You've got a signal an artificial signal from space. What's more likely to go? That must be coming from the closest planet to us that I can see and know exists, or that must be coming from a 13,000-year-old satellite that's in polar orbit around the Earth that I have no idea exists.
No, but you were saying that he might not have known it was there.
Yeah.
So therefore, he was getting this ping, and it's got this 1, 2, 3, 4, this mathematical code that he can pick up and go, that's intelligent. He could have simply said, I've got an intelligent ring I don't really know. I don't know.
Yeah.
He should have stopped there.
I don't know. Yeah.
But he'd gone, no, it's Martians.
Yeah, must be Martians then.
So we can't.
So it's got a bit of fantasy in there. But
So
I'm just saying we can't discount that because you're saying, well, we can't put this as Black Knight evidence because he didn't mention the Black Knight.
We can't discount it's Martians then.
No, I've already said we can't. Randy Kramer says we can't, but
yeah, exactly.
But we can't. What I'm saying is you can't discount just because he didn't know the Black Knight satellite. He didn't mention it, therefore discount it because he didn't know it existed, so he won't consider it.
Yeah, I mean, this is.
You know what I mean?
I think there's a bit of a logical fallacy going on, but we could go round and round on this.
Yeah. No, all I'm saying is, you can't say this isn't Black Knight because if it were Black Knight, he'd have said it. Well, he didn't know Black Knight existed. All he did was receive a signal. He didn't know where from.
Yeah, but he didn't know Martians existed and said it was.
Yeah, I know. But so you're more likely to believe in Mars than you are a satellite. Satellites didn't exist.
Neither
other
did
than
Martians.
the moon. You know what I mean?
But neither did Martians.
No, but could do, might do. We don't know if they do.
Well, have you picked up any 1, 2, 3, 4 from Mars?
No, but I'm not picking them up from the satellite either, so...
Well, you can get satellite pings.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I can see why people retrospectively dated this. Just because he doesn't mention the Black Knight satellite doesn't mean it's not.
But he gave
doesn't mean it is.
But he gave his explanation about what he thought it was.
Yeah, it could be wrong in what he thought it was.
But he's a genius.
He's also fucking in love with a pigeon.
And exactly how I was saying, we can't take everything that people say.
I know. I'm just playing devil advocate for a bit.
I know we are. And it's, and I'm not biting.
So
we're going to Jurgen House now, right? 1927, LDE?
Yeah. So the Black Knight conspiracy then jumps from 1899 to
1927.
Yeah.
Alright.
So Black Knight conspiracy theorists believe that the satellite has been sending our own signals back at us as a long delayed echo. Alright. So the best example I saw of this was from the fucking amazing Jodie Foster film Contact.
Contact, brilliant. It was based on this.
It was based on Black Knight satellite, wasn't it? So in that, don't they send a picture of Hitler back to us?
Well, no. So what we pick up is it was the first ever ionosphere radio broadcast of the 1940 Olympic Games.
1940. Yeah, 1940 Olympic Games maybe.
Well, Jesse James was running, wasn't he? So
yeah.
it was whichever.
Would it be 38?
30,
the World War
39
to 45.
But that was the first TV satellite that pinged off the ionosphere around the world. So
that's the first one they picked up from us.
Yeah. And they sent that back to us upside down, and then
we reversed it, and that's why it's the first one's Hitler. But
I've got a memory there, by the way.
Yeah. I'm mentioning on Hitler. I'm trying to remember exactly why it was, but so they reckon that the satellite has been doing the same thing. That as our signals have been getting, just bouncing back at us to go, I'm watching, we're listening, so that when we can pick it up, we can respond to it in some way or something. But so, Black Knight's conspiracy reckon these are explain what are called long delayed echoes. So the idea being is, and the science gets a bit too much for me, but
it is mad science, honestly.
It pings up and it comes back down in like 1.7, like 1/7 of a second. But it's coming, but that signal's coming back with a 2.4 of a second echo on it.
Yes, instead of going, it's like a very, it's like it hits, but there's like a tiny echo of the noise at the same time.
So something's interfering with it to make it echo.
Yeah.
And the idea is that they're getting it, flipping it and sending it back, and that's what's causing that delay. So we're broadcasting, the Black Knight's receiving it, flipping the signal, and sending it back to us.
Well, that's what some people suggest.
So, and that's how we explain long delayed echoes. So this came about in 1927 when engineer Jorgen Harls picked up a strange signal. Or to be more precise, a normal signal repeated in a strange manner. He put, I repeatedly heard signals from the Dutch shortwave transmitter station PCJJ, Eindhoven. He wrote to Professor Carl Storm at the University of Oslo. Quote, at the same time as I heard these telegraph signals, I also heard echoes. I heard the usual echo, which goes round the Earth with an interval of about 1/7 of a second, as well as a weaker echo about 3 seconds after the principal signal had gone. When the principal signal was especially strong, I suppose the amplitude for the last echo 3 seconds after lay between 1/10 and 1/20 of the principal signal in strength. From where this echo comes, I cannot say for the present. I will only hear it confirm that I really heard this echo. End quote.
And it's been found loads of times since.
Yeah, it's been recorded, as I said.
You can go get it now.
It takes 1/7 of a second to go around the world, but then 3 seconds later it's echoing again, and we don't know why it's echoing.
The same signal comes back.
The same signal comes back, and we don't know why it's echoing.
Well, yeah. So, firstly, let's put. So, before we even try.
Before you go into that, can I just get the last paragraph?
Yeah.
The echoes, despite prompting many investigations, are still not explained today. There are several likely natural explanations, however, ranging from the signal travelling several times around the world, creating an eerie audio, to signals being reflected by distant plasma clouds.
Yeah, there's plenty.
There's nothing, but we don't know what they are. They're still not explained today.
Yeah. However, I was just about to say, to have the leap of, we don't necessarily know for certain what they are. We've got 15 good ideas. Five most likely, 15 overall. But then to go to leap to the idea of it must be an artificial satellite on the Earth.
It's flipping the signal and sending it back to us.
That's the most unlikely of all the reasons.
Yeah, but it's still plausible. So you can't rule it out.
You can, in regards to the fact you can't see the satellite.
We can't, but NASA cover up.
Yeah, but
we might be seeing the one bit of the satellite that NASA can't cover up.
I would have suspected by now that this is what 1923.
1927.
1927. 40 years before. Well, about 38 years before NASA. So before there was an actual NASA. Before there was an actually space agency that wasn't anything to do with the CIA
Yeah.
was created. So we're seeing something so since then we'll have seen loads of people being able to pick up this signal that's got NASA wouldn't being able to cover up because it didn't exist at the time. We didn't have an agency that could monitor space and cover space up. So, we would have had another 30 years of being able to see this sort of thing without having the ability to cover up. So there's the ability of looking about what these are.
Yeah, but also I find that explanation a bit disingenuous of going like, oh well, there can't be a cover up because we didn't have NASA to cover it up. Yeah, but this is 1927. The government said that white is black. People went, alright, it must be black. They're the government, they know better than me.
But
the general populace didn't question.
No, but this Norwegian scientist has got nothing to do with it.
He's not a Norwegian scientist. He's an amateur radio, ham radio user, I think, isn't he?
Norwegian scientist. I'm sure he was. Called Hawes, isn't he?
Amateur radio, yeah. The long-delayed echoes, first heard by amateur radio operator Jordan Halls. He wrote to a scientist at Oslo University.
Then they found the echo.
Yeah.
And then they found the echo.
Yeah, the guy who first discovered him was an amateur ham radio.
So what I'm trying to say to you is that this is Norway.
He wrote to Professor Carl Stormer at the University of Oslo.
So in Norway, without NASA involved, how we're not NASA's not covering anything up. They don't exist. And firstly, it's got nothing to do with America. This was This was found in Europe, and I don't think Norway had any reason to cover up.
No.
To cover anything up. So it's just for me. Yes, you can't say it's not a satellite.
But there's no apparatus in there to cover it up either. There's no NASA. There's no. It's outside the CIA's purview. You know what I mean? It's 1927.
We didn't have any artificial satellites other than the moon.
Yeah.
Flying around the Earth.
Well, that's why I said artificial satellites. The moon is not an artificial one.
So, as I said before, just there's 15 plausible explanations.
Right.
But there's 5 top ones. Now, for what an LDE, a long distance echo, might be. You touched on one of them. That's been on the Earth a few times.
Yeah. It's just we fired it up and it just keeps going round.
Yeah. So that's that is the most.
The Occam's razor explanation.
Yeah. So the idea is that is the most logical answer. That if you can imagine making a phone call that has to go from satellite to satellite to satellite, you're still not answered yet. It's gone back satellite to satellite. So it's gone round the ionosphere a few times, and you picked up.
But
it's still travelling.
Well, this is one where we see evidence of long delay echoes every day when we're watching live news. You know, and you talk like you're in fucking. You've got someone in BBC in London.
That 5-second delay.
Talking to someone in Tel Aviv, and they're going. So what's it like down there? What's the tension's bad? And you see them just like. Yeah, it's quite bad here. That's the long delay echo of it going round. Well, not the long delay. It's the delay in the signal going round. The long delay echo is.
But it's bouncing off satellites going around the ionosphere.
But that's the echo of it going. The long delay echo is a bit after that as well.
So first one is ducting in the magnetosphere and ionosphere reflection.
Who's putting fucking duct tape in the ionosphere?
Fucking, Thanos. He needs to fucking use it as well.
No, fucking it's the ionosphere. Don't use duct tape. It's WD-40.
So it says this effect is best, which is best understood of all the effects listed. So they're saying this is probably the most understood effect of all of them.
Of all of them, yeah.
A radio signal has to pass through the lower ionosphere near a transmitter site. So you transmit something and it has to pass through the ionosphere straight away to get into to start passing on. This then has to be ducted along the Earth's magnetic fields to the other hemisphere on the other side of the Earth. So it's going by the ionosphere, it goes through all the magnetosphere of the Earth to go try to find its intended host at the other side of the Earth. I feel like calling Australia as an example. It's going to go all the way around. So it's going to go around.
I always consider this. I might come back to my high school like over 20 years ago now, and it might be fucking completely wrong in today. But my physics teacher described it as a drop inside a wine glass. in that if you have a drop of water on a wine glass,
Right.
it doesn't fall from the top down. It goes around the outside of it.
Oh yeah.
It goes around the
It's
inside
curved.
of the glass because
Yeah.
it's curved. So the drop doesn't fall down to the bottom. It goes round it, and that's kind of what we do. Where you introduce that drop, it'll fall straight to the bottom of the glass. You introduce the magnetosphere, and it'll go round the magnetosphere.
That's right.
Like a drop of water on a curve of glass to get to the bottom. So
Yeah, 'cause
that's
it's-
kind of how it described to me in really simple terms.
Yeah, so basically, the idea is that so if I make a call to you in Australia, so it goes ionosphere, travels around the magnetosphere all the way around the Earth to get to your call, it then has to travel back for me to get the. So you go, alright, Craig, comes back to me and go, alright, Badger, that has to go back. And what happens is when that has to travel backwards and forwards, the idea is that because it's continually reflected in the ionosphere and has to find its way back, the electromagnetic wave will follow the magnetic field line closest to the Earth, and it will continually go. And what people are seeing is, it's because it's had to do there and back, it causes this echo, which is it's not a single travel. So it's like, well, it's had to repeat so many times that you're seeing the echo. So it's the same connection, repeated several times, going, oh, I've got to go again, and you're seeing just seeing this echo of the same thing.
And you get that sometimes, you know, if you're using Facebook Messenger on Wi-Fi on mobile data, you'll get that bit of an echo to your voice sometimes with a bad connection.
Yeah.
Because you've got a weaker connection, you're picking up the weaker signal, I think. So you're picking up the echo rather than the full signal.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So sometimes when you're talking like Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp call or stuff like that, that's where you'll get that your voice is really echoey sometimes because you're picking up that wrong end of the signal kind of thing.
Yeah, you've got a weak signal, but you've got the data signal. And that's because, again, it's still doing the same thing. Data still has to go via satellite around the Earth.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but you just pick up the weaker end of the signal because you've got a weak signal, so that's where you get the echo in.
The same way that we're talking that it's going from one sort of transmitter site to another backwards and forwards. Also, you can have, it's not uncommon for a signal to travel around the Earth loads and loads of times.
Yeah.
And that, when it gets picked up, has an echo, because you could pick it up now, and it's gone around and by the time you picked it up, it's gone around the Earth again. And you're seeing it more than once, and it's coming again, and it's coming again, and it's coming again. And it's the same signal, but it's coming around so fast, so many times, you're seeing it go, sort of pile itself up.
Yeah, it's travelling quicker than the echo's dissipating.
Yeah.
So you end up with the same signal. That echo you're hearing, you're picking up the signal, but you're hearing that echo because you're picking up the same signal 6 times. Because it's gone round 6 times, and when you answer, all 6 are going to where it's supposed to be.
But it's going so fast, you can see it sort of pile on top of itself.
Yeah.
That's a great explanation for me. You talked about plasma.
Yeah.
So it's called mode conversion involving coupling to mechanical waves in the ionosphere, and that's down to that's partly down to plasma. So this is very scientific, but it's saying the phenomenon may take place on top of the ionosphere where the incident electromagnetic wave is coupled to a longitude plasma wave. So not only is it going to the ionosphere, it also hits this plasma wave, and it causes a bit of distortion in the wave.
Yeah.
The other one is specifically what you said, reflection from
Distant plasma clouds is exactly what I said, yeah.
The hypothesis assumes clouds, ionized gases and particles come from the sun. The main problem with this hypothesis is that Doppler shifts may easily be too great and receive signals too weak. So what it says, it's possible, but it's unlikely.
Yeah,
it's a cloud.
I think the general thinking if it's a plasma cloud, because I think you mentioned the Doppler shift there, I think, didn't you?
Yeah.
But I think basically that's saying that the plasma cloud had just swallowed the signal. It wouldn't escape the plasma cloud. If it won't bounce off it, it won't reflect off it, it just get swallowed up by it.
Yeah, they're saying it's unlikely. But
I think if it hits a plasma cloud, it just swallowed the radio waves. It's highly unlikely that a radio wave would bounce off a plasma cloud.
Yeah.
It'd probably just disperse it or swallow it and it's gone.
I'm not going to talk about the other one, but it's non-linearity in addition to mode conversion, something to do with VHF and UHF. Yeah, and that just looks far too complicated for me to try and explain in this video.
Yeah.
Go and have a look.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to point out that long distance echoes have, whilst not completely known, we've actually got some really good ideas about how they work.
Yeah, but I think it's still important to say we don't know how they work.
We don't know for certain.
They're our best guesses. They're educated guesses.
Scientific, educated guesses where we're almost certain, but we can't become completely certain.
Yeah, because if we knew, then it'd be 1, not 15, with 5 top contenders.
However,
so
you could say there's a phenomenon that happens, and 4 different things cause that to happen. It's not a single cause. So you could say all of these things are a
cause this.
But what you need to work out is what is the cause. But all 4 of them, all 5 of them.
That's it. Basically, all we know is long delay echoes are the symptom.
Yeah.
We don't know what the cause is.
But all 5 causes I just talked about there could all be the cause.
Yeah, but it's that thing like, well, you've got a runny nose. That's a symptom. Therefore, you've got a cold.
It's not.
Could be hay fever.
Yeah.
Could be
COVID.
Flu. Could be COVID. Could be flu. Could be anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just because this is one symptom doesn't mean it only has one cause.
Absolutely.
So that's long delay echoes.
Yeah. So I think the next in line, if we agree, we've got 1954.
Yep, UFO researcher Donald Keyhoe.
Yes.
Told newspapers that United States Air Force reported that 2 satellites orbiting Earth had been detected.
Yeah.
At that time, no country had the technology to launch a satellite. Skeptics have noted that Keyhoe had been promoting a UFO book at the time, and the news stories were likely to be tongue-in-cheek and not intended to be taken seriously.
Yeah, and
because he had a book out at the time, I didn't follow up on this line of research.
No.
I left that in and just went, fucker's got a book out, there's the money, research done. Follow the money, follow the research.
And I agree, he never gave any sources. He said there was a source. He was told there was a source from the United States Air Force. He never exposed his source.
No.
He never gave any evidence. He just told newspaper.
But it wasn't newspaper, it was tabloids.
Yeah, 1954 media is completely different to
Oh yes, what's there, yeah, fair enough, yeah.
So, but he basically said, he went to the newspaper like, this is a great scoop, write it down. But he never gave any credence as to what was being reported. And you're quite right. He had a UFO book, and it was deemed that it was going to be his tongue-in-cheek, and it sold his book.
And I think it's that thing in the 50s where, it's in the paper, it must be true.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying, a completely different time.
So he's gone to this guy, I'll give you $1,000 if you take this story. And he's gone, I'll get a fucking grand, there you go. People have gone, it's in the papers, it must be true. And then the other side is thinking in the 50s and the 60s, well, he's wrote a book. If it were lying, they wouldn't let him write a book if it were lying. Look, it's in the fact section, not fiction. Oh, it must be true then. And then that societal thinking bolsters his claims, whereas today we're started going, he's not a fucking doctor, he's not a fucking scientist, he's no evidence, no proof, he was using the papers to sell a fucking book. And that's why I didn't bother researching him really. But I think it is that societal thinking in the 50s where going, it's in the papers, must be true. And he wrote a book about it, they wouldn't let him write a book, would they, if he were lying?
Yeah, the naivety. We can look back
Yeah,
at
it is the naivety, I think, of society at the time.
We can look back because it had media back then. New York Times wrote something, it was believed. Because the media had the freedom of press.
You might as well carve it in fucking stone.
They had the freedom of press all day long, and there was no... People didn't question it because they believed that the media, that although it's the Watergate scandal, media was like, weren't being suppressed. It's like, we can say whatever we want, as long as we've got some legitimate truth behind it. We're not going to be scandalous, we're not going to try to create scandal like we do today.
Yeah.
They had to have a bond, and there was a belief that they had a responsibility to report it and governments couldn't get involved.
And I think there was this thing on the other side that I think it was this disconnect on the other side where people thought that if the papers were lying, then the government had stopped them. Like, must be true, printed this, it must be true, or it'd be illegal to printed it. Like, they didn't understand libel and defamation laws properly back then, so it was like, they printed this, it must be true because the government wouldn't let them printed it otherwise.
Absolutely.
So, even though the government have no say in them printing this story at all, but people think the government have allowed it. Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's the naivety of society in him selling a book. And comes together perfectly there. And that's why I didn't bother researching any further.
Yeah, without Yeah, but the thing is though, if we did talk about it, even just a brief mention, people go, well, what about the guy?
You didn't mention this guy? Yeah, we did.
He said there were
fucked
two.
him off.
He said there were two. Yeah. The next one I had in 1960.
Is this the Times article?
Yes.
Where
this is we're talking about a retrograde satellite this time.
Yeah, I'll split it into it. So I've got it in the bit I read out at the beginning.
Yeah.
So I'll just reread that. In February 1960, Time reported that the US Navy had detected a dark object thought to be a Soviet spy satellite in orbit. A follow-up article later confirmed that the object was the remains of the Air Force Discovery 8 satellite that had gone astray. Right, and my notes are out of order because I've got it down here now. Here we go. So, the Black Knight seems to have made another appearance when American newspapers reported in 1960 that there was an unusual object in polar orbit.
And we need to understand, in 1960...
Polar orbit was impossible.
It wasn't until 1964. So polar orbit is, if the Earth's spinning an east to west direction, satellites follow it, because it just gets dragged by gravity. What they're saying is there's sort of satellites going against Earth's gravity, because it could... If you're not just following Earth around, you can only see certain parts of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can go the opposite direction, you can fly in whatever direction you want and eventually see everything.
Yeah, you can see everything.
And that couldn't be done in 1960.
No. Right.
And that's why it's a big deal.
Yeah, that's why it was massive.
Yeah.
So, by 1960, both superpowers had satellites in equatorial orbit, but that's going round.
Following it, yeah.
But polar orbit, which is going up. So imagine the Earth being still. Equatorial orbit is going round.
Yep.
Polar orbit is going up, so you're going against the Earth's spin.
And it can go in any direction.
Yeah. But polar orbit meant the satellite could see every part of the Earth, yet neither country admitted owning it. This may seem strange, but remember this was time of deep-rooted suspicion and espionage, not just with each other, but now seemingly with extraterrestrials too.
And we're right in the middle of the Cold War as well.
Yeah.
So, we were hiding tech from each other, constantly trying to one-up each other. The Sputnik had been sorted by then, and it's just like, fucking hell, Sputnik's up in America, was shit in the pants. So, it wouldn't...
Well, by 1960, both superpowers had.
Yeah, but when Sputnik had gone up, it's like, holy shit.
Oh, fuck, they come up, yeah. So, it may seem strange, but remember this was a time of deep-rooted suspicion and espionage because of the Cold War, right? So it's not just for each other, but now seemingly with extraterrestrials too. Declassified information now released from that time suggested that the object was connected to Corona spy satellite under disguise. At the time, the US Discovery Research Satellite Program was actually a cover for the Corona project intended to photograph sites in the USSR. The world was bracing itself for nuclear destruction, coming close to nuclear war in the Cuban Missile Crisis just 2 years later. Had this information been released at the time, perhaps the Cold War would have indeed heated up. The mystery object reported was almost certainly an unexpectedly large piece of debris from Discovery 8, released when it jettisoned its film recovery capsule. So, basically, the satellite Discovery 8 went over, was in polar orbit, so it could go over Russia, to fly anywhere it wants then. So it went over Russia, took photos, right, and back then we didn't have digital photos and stuff, so everything was on film.
The JC-130.
So the film would be on in what's called a bucket in the bottom of the satellite. So it'd fly over Russia, take all its photos, and then when it got to like what was deemed a safe area or recoverable area, it jettisoned the bucket back down to Earth.
No, it wasn't. It was caught in midair.
Right? No, but that's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, right, okay.
It's supposed to jettison it back down to Earth, and then you recover it from the sea, or you catch it in midair or whatever. So Discovery 8's bucket was lost as the satellite's eccentric orbit made it impossible to recover. The satellite itself burned up on re-entry in March 1960, presumably the debris fell into the atmosphere too around this time.
Yeah, so any satellite that was orbiting the Earth back then didn't have digital photos.
No.
I should say the had
so it had to go to film, which had been in a bucket in the bottom of the.
It was parachuted off the satellite.
And it just eject from the satellite, fall through Earth's orbit, and then parachute up, and then the plane would come and catch it.
How mad is that? Think about that now. How fucking nuts is that?
It's mental, isn't it?
It's like,
for camera into space, fly it over Russia, take photos, and then shoot it back down to Earth and catch it in a plane going on
physical
there.
film.
Yeah.
Has to be caught by a plane on the way past. Like, Can you imagine them going, no, you're going too fast. Oh, shit, we're going right.
Look down again.
So good. Daddy, what's that you playing? You didn't see it. It's fine.
Catch it 50,000 feet. Missed it. Going in for 14,000 feet retrieval.
Fuck. Is there any feet on the ground?
So anyone just have you got it yet? And they're like, hi, this is Dave from Illinois. Yeah, I caught it in my garden.
Don't look at the photos. I'll give you a tenner. But yeah, it's true. It's how mad is that? So satellites have to drop photos and place them.
But it gets me with that. It's like, so, these are one-use satellites. Because you can't get a new phone back up to it.
They must have had to. I didn't think of that actually. They must have had to do something.
No, it was just a cartridge of phones.
So once they run out of cartridges, that was it.
It had like 10 cartridges on it. Then jettison the bottom, it'd take all the photos, fill the film up, jettison the cartridge, and another one would fall into place.
Yeah.
And then jettison another one, and then once it's got 10 cartridges done, it's burned up in atmosphere, never existed, never here.
You say that, but they also shoot them down.
Yeah, but yeah, the idea behind it was, put 10 films of cartridge in, fly it up, fill the film up, drop it back down to earth, catch it in a plane, last cartridge is used, drop it into a decaying orbit so it'd burn up in Earth's atmosphere. Yeah. No evidence it ever existed. Don't know what we're going about. We're going about that. Which is quite smart, really.
It is, yeah.
Quite expensive.
Very expensive. But, you know, CIA.
Especially when you see like fucking
drugs, you know.
When you see satellite photos today, you know, like fucking satellite photos that took us to war in Iraq, where they went, this is the weapons factory.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fucking black box, mate. What are you on about? Like, that's the best we had in fucking early 2000s. What they had in the 60s.
Exactly. Can you imagine? It's like a Kodak camera. I can see about 3 feet.
Comes back. Whose fucking thumb is that on the lens? The ET outside the satellite giggling.
No ET phone around you dickheads.
John Stewart, you open up and just dick pics. Alien dick pics.
Can't see it now.
Just an alien art and maybe says subscribe to my OnlyFans.
I agree. Absolutely. And that's where Elon Musk came from. Have you heard
that? That is true. I've heard that.
Do you know what they're doing this one? To tell you the funniest thing, which we'll never cover as a conspiracy. Supposedly, there's a genuine conspiracy theory that Nicolas Cage is an alien, and that Coppola guy who did the fucking Godfather movie,
Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, took him under his wing in Hollywood because he was left as an alien and brought him up. That Nicolas Cage is an alien who's learned how to be a human.
This is why we're about doing this channel, because last week he sent me a conspiracy theory saying that birds aren't real.
They're not real.
Every bird in America is a CIA drone or something.
Yep. 100%. And we will do a video on that one. You've got to take the rough with this movie.
So what you got next in your timeline then? We're up to 1960, aren't we?
So we've done, and just making sure we've covered 60. I think we probably have.
So I've got 73 next.
What's that? Gordon Cooper from Mercury 9. So...
I was 72, wasn't it?
1963.
Was it 63?
Yeah. So, Gordon Cooper, supposedly... So, the thing is with Gordon Cooper, is he is one of the biggest advocates of UFOs out of all the astronauts.
Yeah.
He has genuinely come out and said, I saw a UFO, I believe they're real, I saw them here, there and everywhere, and he will not move on that. He is absolutely
I mean, the
steadfast.
thing is, what? Yeah, he's steadfast, he saw UFOs. He saw things in space, well up in space, that could not be explained and no one could explain to right.
He said they were being watched and all sorts of things.
I think one of them said they were being followed. Because I think they changed course because they were getting so anxious and so worried that they kind of deviated their course a bit just to put them at ease, and the objects deviated course with them, changed course with them, which really freaked them out. But yeah, so in 1963, astronaut Gordon Cooper supposedly reported a UFO sighting. And this is supposedly is an important word here, right?
Yeah.
So he supposedly reported a UFO sighting during his 15th orbit in Mercury 9 that was confirmed by tracking stations.
Okay.
But there is no evidence that this happened. Neither NASA's mission transcripts nor Cooper's personal copies show any such report being made during the orbit. So what I think's happened here is, and what's pretty obvious happened here, Cooper is the most outspoken astronaut in UFO sightings and believing in extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
He thinks we're being watched, he thinks we're being monitored. I think he likened one of the Mercury missions to he felt like a parent watching a toddler crawl for the first time.
Is that what he said?
Like, you leave them to crawl, but you watch them in case they fall.
Just to make sure, yeah.
That's the feeling he got, whether they were watching us crawl, but they're not threat to us. But oh, look at them, look, they're trying off. They use solid fuel. Look at this, don't use rockets. That's a bit like
Apollo 13, fuck, it's fallen. Let me go.
Yeah. There you go, Paul, back home, off you go. So I think that's how he's described it before, right? But the thing is, so it came out that he reported seeing the black knight.
It's a greenish black knight.
Yeah.
He said it was a greenish colour in space. He said reported that when he was flying, so the black knight going around the Earth, it was greenish 1963, and he's come out and said, "I believe in UFOs. I believe in aliens." But
I've never said this. Like, and to be fair to him, because there's someone who believes in UFOs and says he's seen, you want to be believed.
Yeah.
If you go, I've been in space and I've seen UFOs, and you go, I'm fucking dude, we need to listen to you a little bit, maybe. And he wants to be believed. So when someone else goes, oh, Gordon Coop said this, and he went, when I said that? Oh, on my Mercury 9 mission. Alright. Here's the entire transcript of the Mercury 9 mission. Show me when I said it.
You can't find it.
Because it says he reported it, and it was confirmed by tracking station. He went, I'm seeing this at the left side of window, and the tracking station went, yep, we're picking that up as well. And he went, alright then. Boom! Show me where. Here's a minute by minute fucking transcript of the mission. Show me where I said that.
And you fucking couldn't.
And you can't. So, fucking props to Gordon Cooper, salute, good sir.
I love that.
I love it just like, no, I believe in aliens. I've seen aliens. I've seen UFOs. I've seen UFOs. I think I've seen aliens. I'm pretty sure I've seen aliens. And what about when you saw the Black Knight? Fucking boom. Tell me when I said I saw it.
And do you know what? That for me
makes his other claims more credible.
More credible, because he could have gone, Buck,
I saw that. When you fucking, I saw what I saw, and I'm trying to tell people what I saw. You're not fucking muddy water with your bollocks. Like fucking boom. There's the mission transcript. Show me what I said. No, fuck off, knobhead. Anyway, this time I saw this on Mercury. But this time when I saw this on Mercury, yeah. Fucking love that. That is big. That is fucking big bollocks.
And quite frankly, I give Gordon Cooper, because of that, I give everything that he said before more credence, because he could have easily gone, this is fantastical. His other claims are fantastical, but with evidence. But he's gone and they have no evidence.
Well, his other claims, even if he didn't see anything, even if he's on Mercury 8 completely making it up, there's no, he's not even looking out the window.
No.
Right? He's just making it all up in his head, he's made it planned and he's reading it out, right? I'm going to go up there, I'm going to say I saw this UFO, this is what I'll say and come back, right? Even if he's completely done that, that's everything he's done. He's still got the transcripts of that conversation happening. So whether he were lying and he made the story before he left, whether he was lying when he got up there, maybe he saw something and he was confused and seen some different, maybe he actually saw a UFO, he saw a fucking alien spaceship, whichever one it is, there is evidence of that conversation happening.
And whether it was misidentified, if it was a UFO, could it be space, it could be anything. He saw something, he can't explain, and it could be lots of things.
Yeah, but there is a recorded copy of that conversation.
But he said, I've just seen this.
Yeah. And then when they got on, he saw this in 1963, and he goes, show me where. Every fucking UFO sighting I've said I've seen in space, there's a recorded transcript of me talking to Mission Control about it. This one I did not, therefore this one did not happen.
Put this one to bed then.
Yeah.
What have you got next, Badger? I think we can move on to the one
73, Duncan Llewellyn.
Oh.
People continue to use Tesla's findings to bolster claims of the Black Knight's existence. They also take on board the work of a Norwegian engineer called Jørgen Hals, who found that radio signals he transmitted were being echoed back to him a few seconds later. We now know these are long delayed echoes, and Hals was the first person to observe them. The fact we don't have a confirmed explanation for their cause, however, has been seized upon in 1973 Duncan Lunn wrote an article in Spaceflight magazine suggesting those studying long-delayed echoes had overlooked the possibility they were sent by an alien space probe. So, just to be fair to Duncan Lunnan, he doesn't say the Black Knight satellite. He says an alien space probe.
It doesn't call it Black Knight, but
I'm saying none of these incidents on the timeline say a Black Knight satellite at all, right? Lunan still has faith in an extraterrestrial explanation for the recordings. The changes in the long-distance echo patterns in apparent response to changes in the outgoing signals from Earth really do look like the responses from a Bracewell probe, and there is still no satisfactory natural explanation for the phenomenon, Lucan said. If the long-distance echoes were deliberately produced by a probe, there's a problem in that they stopped in 1975. If a probe was monitoring Earth, rather than trying to attract attention, perhaps it belatedly discovered from the 1973 to 74 publicity that had given away its presence in the 1920s and pulled out in 1975, Lennon said. That's the only explanation I can see for its apparent departure.
So, okay, let's give him more details. Duncan Lunan, what he did is, he took the 1923 horse, was it 1927, 1927?
1927.
1927.
Jorgen Hals.
So he took the LDEs, the original LDEs, looked at the echoes, and what he suggested, he said, looking at those echoes, actually, those echoes were a map. And so what he did is he looked at where the echoes came from in space, and his interpretation was actually they were coming from the Epsilon Bootis constellation. And he stated that looking at measuring the distance between the echoes, or however they came from, it pointed out to a message.
Big point in space,
And that message meant that the satellite, based on the fact that it took so long to get there and back, the satellite had to be 12,600 years old, which is where we get our date from for the black satellite today.
This is the only time this 13,000-year-old satellite is, because it's this is Duncan Lunnan.
So what he suggested is that,
and this was based on one conspiracy theory, so where a date gets given, it's 12,600 years, must be that old, and then suddenly a 13,000-year-old satellite pops up in every other story, with no mention of why it's 13,000 years old. This is the only place it comes from.
So he wrote a book. He suggested that Epsilon Bootis was the specific star, the constellation that it was coming from, had to come from there. And if it was coming from there and back based upon our ideas of how fast radio waves travel this summer, it has to be 12,600 years. That has to be how old the satellite is. The thing with Duncan Lunan was, and this is his own words, is he said that he made outright errors and his methods have been completely unscientific. So he came out and went, I sold loads and loads of books, but
had a bit of poetic license.
It might not have been. I mean, at first he tried to say that he based it on solid science, which wasn't really solid science. The idea was that he interpreted the long distance echoes, and if they were coming from Earth, you've got longitude Lagrangian points. So you've got this Lagrangian point of L4 and L5, which basically talks about the moon's orbit at 60 degrees. So when he talked about Earth being 60 degrees and moon being 60 degrees, he was going, well, if based on these LDEs, it means that from another point in space of another 60 degrees it has to be here. And so he said, well, it's Epsilon Bootis. And there,
basically triangulating a signal.
And they must come from this far away. So firstly, he completely misinterpreted the signal without having with no knowledge of
how it works.
Ionosphere or anything. Then went, well, I could, because no one knows, I could just go, well, it means this. So the bookload of books, a fuck ton of books. Sorry.
Use the proper ALEuminati vocabulary, please.
I didn't know this vocabulary until we started, but fuck ton of books. He's done his sales, no more sales coming in, and he comes out and goes, well, sorry guys, but made outright errors and it was quite unscientific.
Well, I have a statement here from his website.
Okay.
It's quite a long one, so please bear with me. But these are all his words taken from there. I've actually just, rather than write notes down, I brought his website up so I can read this statement out in full, so I'm not going to be accused of misinterpreting his words or like that.
So, can I just ask, do we know if this was made before he said it was unscientific and outright errors, or after?
Epsilon Bootis, Clyde Tunball, Black Knight, and the STS-88 by Duncan and Lunnan. Doesn't have a date on it, sorry.
Okay. So we don't know if it's before or after this statement that he made?
No.
Okay.
Right.
Just putting that out there.
Right, so, Space Probe from Epsilon Bootis. Good start.
Sorry. I am being Randy Craven now, I think.
At the first meeting of the Interstellar Project, which led to my book, Man and the Stars, the late John McVie brought up the idea of Professor Ron Bracewell of Stanford University that a probe from another civilization might have tried to contact us by radio in the 1920s and has been responsible for the effect called long-delayed radio echoes. So he's putting this on to John McVie already, right? James Strong of the British Interplanetary Society suggested that such a probe might be located at the L4 or L5 point in the orbit of the Moon, not in orbit around the Moon as the press was late to insist, and still appears to at the head of my Wikipedia page. So he's got a bit of umbrage with that. That he says it's the L4 or L5 point in the orbit, not in orbit around the Moon.
So the first thing he said about a probe,
Mm-hmm.
I was having a think about the Black Knight, actually, and a probe. That if there's a civilization that is so technologically advanced that had the ability to send a probe to us to monitor us, that surely they'd make it so we couldn't find it.
Well, this is going back to what I said at the top of the show, of the, is it like a nanny cam that's just waiting until we get to, like, you know, they send a radio signal to us from the probe, as soon as we answer it, then it sends a subspace signal back to them, and they're going to speak to our governments. They're waiting for us to get to a certain point. If you found 100 species, 100 planets with chimps on, you watch 100 planets, that's a lot, that's fucking time sensitive, that's fucking intensive. But if you just drop 100 probes, and then one gets a signal back and it signals home, it's going to signal,
Basic
then you know where to
signal.
go.
I mean, the most basic signal.
But then you don't know that, oh well, that species is ready to be enslaved now, or that species is ready to be enlightened. You don't know what their intention is.
Okay.
But that's where I was looking at it. That's where I always saw the Black Knight. It wasn't something oppressive or aggressive, it was just watching us till we get to a certain level, and then it can ping home and go, these guys got to this level. But I never thought it was the only one. I always thought there was like a Black Knight satellite around Earth, but there's one in every fucking galaxy, every solar system that's got life on it. You know, there's thousands of them out there, and they're just waiting for them to ping back and then they go visit.
Okay.
That's how I thought of it. It's a bit romantic, I suppose, but...
Well, you're a romantic guy.
I am a bit, yeah. Most people call me a cunt, but yeah, I am romantic.
Can you keep your foot to yourself, please?
Well, fucking my feet are on the floor, stop nudging it with my cock.
The cock's tickling my ankle.
Right, so he's got a bit of a problem straight from off here. There, he says it's in the L4 or L5 point in orbit of the Moon. Then in brackets, not in orbit around the Moon, as the press was late to insist, and still appears at the head of my Wikipedia page. He goes on to say, research begun by the late George Slasher later confirmed that the major source of LDEs was indeed the L5 point, with a possible repeater at L4.
No, it didn't.
I followed up the lead John McVie had given me and looked at the original papers on LDE published in Nature in the late 1920s. At first sight, the variations in echo time are random. However, Bracewell had suggested that the first message from a probe might be a TV image of a constellation, and it occurred to me that a set of star map coordinates would be a random series of numbers.
Right. Is this not contact?
Yeah, it is contact in it.
Okay, Karen.
When I tried graphing the signals to see if that would work, to my astonishment, I found what appeared to be a readable message giving Epsilon Bootis, or in brackets ISAR, as the origin star of the spacecraft, and its arrival date is 11,000 BC. I thought I would have to translate all the LDE patterns before anyone would take that seriously. And I worked out translations for a much longer series of LDE received in 1929 before I submitted my paper to the British Interplanetary Society.
The what?
No.
Right, hold on. Are these an authority of kind? Or who are they?
I think we'll be looking this up because, yeah, let's carry on.
Is that just some guy in the basement going, I'm going to create
The British Interplanetary Society.
Mum! Can I have my tea?
So it worked out the longest series of LDE received in 1929 before I submitted my paper to the British Interplanetary Society. It was refereed by the late A.T. Lawton, who mentioned in a lecture in December 1972 and provided the Sunday Telegraph with a front page scoop. It made national news overnight and then was eclipsed on Christmas Eve by the terrible earthquake in Nicaragua.
No. Bastards.
The subsequent evolution of the story in the media would be worthy of Gilbert and Sullivan. For example, a completely accurate account of it appeared in the US National Enquirer, whereas Time magazine got it wrong and never printed a promised correction, but it's the most often cited to this day.
Okay.
So what we're saying is the National Enquirer printed it correctly, the Times printed it wrong.
But isn't the National Enquirer the source of all truth?
Yeah. No, they printed it right. He's saying they printed it correctly. The Times printed it wrong, and when he approached them, said, "Oh, we promise we'll correct that," and they've never corrected it. And the Times article is used as evidence when it's wrong, where the National Enquirer is like, "This is fucking stupid, don't touch it." It's actually correct. The actual paper was published by the BIS as Space Probe from Epsilon Bootis. In Spaceflight, April 1973, the following year, it became apparent that some of the 1920s records I worked on weren't accurate, and that facts I had deduced about the Epsilon Bootis system were incorrect. So I withdrew the translation. Long Delayed Echoes and Extraterrestrial Hypothesis, Journal of the Society of Electronic and Radio Technicians, September 1976. By the time Lawton had published his own natural explanation for LDE, which I never accepted, but was widely accepted as a refutation. Man and the Stars, my book, came out in 1974, and I was then contacted by two very talented people, Alan Evans and Jamie Bentley, both of whom liked my approach to the possibility of past contact with extraterrestrials, and proposed a search for evidence to prove it. If it had happened, in the course of our inquiry, Epsilon Bootis came up again, apparently as a time marker rather than indicating the origin of the visitors. We think that we have strong circumstantial evidence for at least one visit to Earth in the period 3000 to 2500 BC.
That's a good question. Circumstantial evidence, does that get you put in prison?
Nope.
Exactly. Please continue.
This was published as Epsilon Bootis Revisited, Analog, March 1998.
That's what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm. 2 years earlier, Analog had published my separate research into medieval mystery of the Green Children of Woolpit, which, if true, appears to be an X-Files in the 12th century. After I returned the proofs of Epsilon Bootis Revisited to Analog, it occurred to me that there could be similar circumstantial evidence for that in positional astronomy. Alan Evans confirmed that there was. At that point, all three inquiries into long-delayed radio echoes in the 1920s, ancient positional astronomy at Stonehenge and the Pyramids, and a very human mystery in the 12th century of England became different aspects of a single inquiry into past contact. I published my own speculative interpretation in Children from the Sky, but it really does appear that we're onto something big. Apparently, 2 contacts with other civilizations during recorded history, if not 3.
So, you are underclaiming me here.
I'm not. I'm just. He's saying so.
So he talked about lots of circumstantial evidence.
Mm-hmm.
He also stated that he talked about astronomy. Now,
Positional astronomy.
now fuck me sideways. He's talking about astronomy in the way that these same way you're talking about Libra means something or Aries means something.
Yeah.
Like
We'll be frozen like the fucking the green.
Mystic Meg and all that shit.
I'll be frozen the Green Children of Woolpit. Like, where the fuck did that come from?
We talked about those. Are they the guys that came? Those green kids that came out of the earth.
We talked about them in our Hollow Earth video. Yeah. Right. So.
How the fuck did I remember that?
Black Knight. Right. So I had to go through all that so I could set out his not only his backstory, but his thinking as well.
Do you know what I'm not going to do? That I normally would. I am not going to attempt to pick apart everything he said, because I'm hoping I can pick apart the second paragraph.
So I'm going through all that because I think I heard that bit, you know, because he says in here, that bit I've gone through there where he says, they picked out the National Enquirer, right, at the Times picked out bits and got it wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, alright, he's accused people of that. I'm going to read his words verbatim.
Let's do it.
Right, so that's why I've gone all the way through his fan set, so we can kind of get, not only is it his words verbatim, we can't be accused of misrepresenting him or misconstruing what he said, but also I think it gives a good mindset into the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, Black Knight, nothing to do with me.
Good start.
Unfortunately, much media interest in numerous websites print only spurious stories about me, building on the misreporting of the Epsilon Booty story in the 1970s. For the record, I am not a professional astronomer, I am not a radio amateur, I am not a professor, and I have never been a staff member of Glasgow University. I was not alive in the 1920s, was not born until 1945, and I have never heard any voices supposedly heard by astronaut Gordon Cooper in orbit in 1963. There's nothing about those in the official NASA Mercury history of Project Mercury. This new ocean, NASA SP4201 US Government Printing Office 1967, nor in detailed accounts such as John Catchpole's Project Mercury, Spring of Praxis 2001, not even in first-hand accounts of the tracking programs such as Hamish Lindsay's Tracking Apollo to the Moon, Spring of Verlag 2001.
Hamish Lindsay.
Yeah.
Okay.
As for Black Knight, the only real one I know of is the British-sounding rocket used in the late 1950s for upper altitude research and missile warhead development in the late 1950s. Afterwards developed into the Black Arrow, which put Britain's one and only independent satellite into orbit in October 1971. For its story, see blah 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 blah. In the 1950s, there was a news story from South America that Clyde Tombaugh, discoverer of Pluto, had supposedly discovered a previously unknown satellite of the Earth. Tombaugh did conduct a search for natural satellites of the Earth in the early 50s, using Baker Nunn tracking cameras, which were the most advanced of their day. The conclusion was that apart from the Moon, there was nothing orbiting the Earth which was baseball-sized or bigger. Tombaugh confirmed that to Patrick Moore in person on Moore's long-running TV programme The Sky at Night.
What a wonderful TV programme that was.
That was amazing.
Brilliant. And if you've not seen it...
Rest in peace, Sir Patrick Moore.
And we were blessed.
We were blessed by that one.
And that was a wonderful... Literally, you'd come in, kebab down your belly, pisses a fart, midnight, Patrick Moore was on going, look at the stars. It's like, yes, Sir Patrick Moore. I will look at the fucking stars.
I've been honoured to be sat in a what do you call it, a private gentleman's club.
You explain more, please.
Not my fucking lap dancing street bar, you know, the...
All I can is that Sir Patrick Moore dancing.
No, the big fucking high back chairs, big fucking
Yeah.
open fire kind of place, like members club thing. I've been lucky enough to be sat in a high back chair from 9 o'clock at night till 4 in the morning, getting wankered with Patrick Moore.
Fantastic.
I don't even like brandy. I drank a lot of brandy, because all it was on for was brandy. I was like, oh, do you have any rum? Like, we don't drink rum here, we're going to drink brandy, good boy. Oh, like, brandy is then. I don't fucking like brandy. But when you sat down with Patrick Moore, you drink fucking brandy.
And I don't know how torn you would have been. You'd have been like, ooh, I'm not about the stars, but you were also the games master.
Oh yeah, like, it all came up. We spoke about it all, don't worry. One of my perfect life moments. You know, just one of those, you do something, you look back on life like, high school. We all there at high school. Then you look back on it 20 years later and go,
well,
that was cool. I wish I could go back to that again. That was brilliant. It's one of those moments where you sit there and you just go, I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. This is fucking amazing. Like, you just, like Patrick Moore moves off the toilet and you just go, the fuck is happening? This is, brilliant.
Almost as good as this channel. Almost
as good as this channel. Right, so, Patrick Moore quoted him in several Tom Barr confirmed that to Patrick Moore in person on Moore's long-running TV programme The Sky at Night, and Patrick Moore quoted him in several of his books, e.g. Patrick Moore on the Moon, KSL London 2001. If such an object had existed, it would have been much closer to us than the L1 point between Earth and the Moon, very much closer than the possible Bracewell probe at L5. So he's saying if the Black Knight exists, it'd have to be much closer than the L1 point between Earth and the Moon.
So it's going to be in low Earth orbit.
Right? Yeah. Very much closer than the possible Bracewell. So it's going to, the Black Knight, that to exist at L1. And I don't think it does, I think that's bollocks. The Bracewell probe could exist at L5, so he believes in this probe over here, but he said, I'm not true with this one. I've never said this one. I'm talking about the one there in the L5.
Sorry. I wasn't listening to your words, I've seen you going. I wasn't listening to your words. I'm getting really fucking juvenile now.
The L4 and the L5 points, also called the equatorial and the Trojan points, are equidistant from the Earth and the Moon, and as far away as the Moon itself. And with the huge improvements in amateur instruments and techniques which have been made since, if the Earth did have any small natural satellites, by now many thousands of people would have seen them. In UFO literature, the issue is compounded by stories about a mystery satellite found in polar orbit in 1961 and supposedly designated Black Knight. Though I never heard the name at the time, a second satellite was discovered in similar orbit, but both were soon identified. The discovered satellites, later renamed Corona, were spy satellites orbited by the USA in 1959 and 1972, returned their film to Earth by parachute. The search for one such payload is the MacGuffin behind Alistair McLean's Ice Station Zebra, which was inspired by an actual search for one which came down off Spitsbergen in December 2012. A release of previously classified documents revealed that another was lost in the Pacific near Hawaii in 1971 and recovered in 1972 using the submersible Trieste-2. The capsule was separated from the parachute during descent and broken up, so the recovered film was unusable. In 1959-1961, the Discovery 5 and Discovery 23 capsules ended up in near polar orbit between 600 and 1,000 miles up higher orbit, instead of returning to Earth because the retro rockets fired in the wrong position. It took time to find them, but there was no doubt about what they were. Their orbital inclinations and perigee heights precisely matched those of the missing Discovery payloads. Nevertheless, he is now claimed on numerous websites, without asking me, that I translated signals from Black Knight and it was the Bracewell probe. Although the decade is wrong, if Bracewell probe existed, that was 240,000 miles away in the orbit of the Moon, and the lost Discovery capsules and Black Knight were at 1,000 miles up or less and in near polar orbit. None of it was anything to do with Clyde Tombaugh or with me, nor, just for the record, could either Black Knight, the supposed Tombaugh moon, or the Bracewell probe had been photographed from the space shuttle, whose standard orbit was only 180 nautical miles above Earth, and which never went into polar orbit. The mystery objects photographed on the STS-88 mission in 1998 are actually pieces of tape, protected covers, etc., discarded as the first two sections of the International Space Station were joined together. The blurriness in many of them shows that they are small nearby objects photographed at high magnification, not spaceship-sized and at a distance. The astronauts are very thoroughly trained in photography, particularly to master the different lighting conditions found in space, and if they ever do see a giant spaceship nearby, you can be sure that the photos will be so sharp that you can count the rivets on them.
Let's not talk about it anymore then. I think he's fucking put his place in there. I had nothing to do with Black Knight.
He's just shot it all out the water, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's got nothing to do with me.
I like the way he's done that. I know you were worried I would have Randy Kramer here.
Yeah, I was.
But he believes there's a Bracewell probe at L5.
Yeah.
On the between the corridor between Moon and Earth.
And I think that it could exist, but I think it's man-made. I've heard of that before.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a man-made probe. I do.
Yeah. Right, but he thinks he believes there's a thing in L5. But I love the way he breaks down, cites every book from his publisher and his share of publication, goes through it all, and then just goes, I've fuck all to do with this. I've been completely misrepresented. Everyone thinks I'm a fucking crazy and a loon. You think he's a fucking Randy Kramer. When you read that and he just goes, fucking, I think this probe exists there. All this shit over here, I never fucking said that.
It's still
This is all the press that have done this. It's everyone else that said
It
this.
still did talk about Epsilon Brutus and the fact that we're going to be expecting to get.
But it does say, I got that wrong.
That's fine.
It
They
says...
retracted that. That's fine.
Yeah, let me just find it again, where it says it. But it does...
But that's after 20 years of selling his book.
If you sell your book and you think you've got it right, and then technology advances and 20 years later you go, oh fuck, I was wrong.
For me, what I'd say...
Maybe he's waiting, maybe he needed 20 years for technology to advance to prove him wrong.
Oh,
And then he's been a big enough man and gone, yeah, I was wrong on that.
I'm a cynic. I'm a Yorkshireman.
Yeah.
The way I see it is, sold his book, it's not selling anymore. Shit, I got it wrong, but this book gets it right.
Yeah, now I sold a new book.
Yeah.
I mean, he says the papers he released were misreported.
No. There's no misreporting in. Epsilon Brutus has an extraterrestrial message back to Earth. There's no misrepresentation from that message. It might not be the Black Knight, but it does believe that happened.
What's it? Yeah, that's.
And then 20 years later he goes, oh, well, I might have got it wrong. But I've got a new book that
I can see your cynicism.
Here's a new book that proves that if you want to know the real truth, buy this one instead.
Yeah, I can see your cynicism. But
if it had come out 10 years later, in 84 or something, let's just say, for the sake of argument, in 1990, it'd come out and gone, do you know what, guys? I sold this book, I got it wrong, and I'm going to go away and try and investigate this further. They didn't release anything for 10 years and went, I've done loads of investigation based upon the fact I was wrong, but it's come out and gone, I was wrong, but I've got a prepared book.
no, actually, it says his book came out in 73, was it?
73, 74, yeah.
Yeah. So it says the actual paper was published by the BIS as Space Program from Boots in Spaceflight, April 1973. The following year, so 1974, it became apparent that some of the 1920s records I'd worked on weren't accurate, and the facts I deduced by Epsilon Booty system were incorrect, so I withdrew the translation. So he withdrew it in 1974.
I don't think it did.
It says here, the actual paper was published by the BIS as Space Program Epsilon Bootis in Spaceflight in April 1973. The following year, it became apparent that some of the 1920s records I'd worked on weren't accurate, and the facts I deduced by Epsilon Booty system were incorrect, so I withdrew the translation. By that time, Lawton had published his own natural explanation for LDE, which I never accepted, but was widely accepted as a refutation. So
my cynicism is
a year later, he's got to release his book in April. The following year, so that could be he released his book in April in January '74 because it just says the following year and it's that longer. So he released it in April. In January, comes out like, oh yeah, that was incorrect, and your foundation of your investigation was incorrect. He's gone, alright, I withdraw that paper. Sorry, I'm wrong.
fair play then.
But even though he's withdrawn the paper's already spread about now. So he's withdrawn the paper, but everyone's reporting on the paper, and reporting on a reporting.
Okay.
That's like him withdrawing this statement now, but in a year's time, someone watching this video on YouTube and reporting on what we're saying about his statement.
So, he said that. We don't have it now,
No.
but I'd like to see evidence of me formally going, I've withdrawn that. I didn't mean it. I took my book off the shelves because it's wrong. I withdraw my paper. I don't plan on making any more money off this.
This sounds to me, I know you were worried you're going to get Randy Craig, but this sounds to me as a guy who's just fucking exasperated. Like, his website has home, my family life, it's 2 or 3 books, I think, times to click on, and then it has Black Knight statement, where he just like, we just fuck off and leave me alone. I never said any of this. When the National Enquirer wrote about what I said, that's true. When the Times wrote about what I said, they got it wrong, they misinterpreted it. And even though the Times said the pretty correction, they never did. And everybody cites that Times article because the Times is more reputable than National Enquirer.
Fair play then.
And he's gone, I wrote this in April 73, I was told my information was incorrect, I withdrew my paper the next year, but everyone keeps citing my paper. this is a guy who sounds frustrated, going, what more can I do?
So I think we're at that point now.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to mention...
Your friend Terry, but...
I was going to mention the Black Knight, the British Black Knight, but I think I kind of inadvertently did that in Duncan London's statement. There's not much more we can say about that.
It's a genuine space programme that the British had, to stick a satellite in space.
I mean, the only bit I've got is a tiny bit on it. I can find it.
I personally don't think it's pertinent to the story anyway, but...
A British rocket called the Black Knight rocket was used in conjunction with the Blue Streak missile programme between 1958 and 1965 to test re-entry vehicles. A Black Knight satellite launcher project announced in 1964 was considered a priority by the Ministry of Aviation. The programme never put anything into orbit and is completely unrelated to the Black Knight satellite legend.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
I didn't think there's any point in having anything more than that, because there isn't anything more than that to it, unless we're going to go into the fucking specifications of the rocket, which I thought were fucking pointless. I didn't bother researching.
At least it isn't shaped like a dick, like the Bezos rocket. It's just going into space. It looks like a penis. I can't be the only one.
Dick energy.
I can't be the only one.
No, it does. Biggest cock on the planet. Leaves a pun on the biggest cock ever built.
Exactly.
Right. So, we've gone through all the evidence there.
Well, up to the big one.
What's the big one?
The STS-88.
Yeah. That's.
I have, to this point, we're talking about doing it in a linear order.
Yeah.
I've got stuff after STS-88.
Okay.
I've got nothing before this anymore. We're done.
So we've been dropping STS-88 all the way through the show. This is when Terry gets annoyed at us for doing shit like this, but we've done it anyway, so we're here now, Terry.
So Terry, I would say, hopefully you'll agree with us. We're going off on a couple of tangents, but it's important, I think, to go, here's the technological advances all the way to the point
And I think, and especially because
picking this up.
Nothing's mentioned Black Knight to this point.
Not a single word of Black Knight. No.
To this point. And at the beginning of the show we said the Black Knight conspiracy theory is retrospectively dated.
Correct.
So it's like all these things have happened, no one's linked them together, this photo comes out, boom, everything is linked up and lined up now. So I've got it in here. I don't know what you've got on your notes there. I've just got to see my notes there. What's it say at top on the heading?
That picture.
Just that picture.
Well, it's actually 6 pictures.
I know, but it's
Or is it 6 or 5?
It's just I just put it on my heading as that picture because this is considered the smoking gun.
But it's 6 pictures, really.
Yeah. So this is considered the smoking gun. This is the one that proves it exists.
Right. So, just for clarity, because I didn't understand the history or all that stuff, when I saw that picture, the one of 6, when I was young, this particular one had me by the horse.
Be honest, right? When I said Black Knight, let's do Black Knight.
This picture,
right?
was it?
All I knew was this picture, and it's a 13,000-year-old sentinel that's watching over our planet. And is it to watch over our development? Is it to stop us from destroying ourselves? We don't know what it is, but and that's what I knew. It's this 13,000-year-old sentinel. This benevolent watcher, or is it alien? Because it's not. It doesn't interact. It doesn't interfere.
Yeah.
It just records and watches. And that's all I knew when I suggested this theory, was that picture, and it was 13,000 years old and been watching us.
I think all I knew...
everything we've talked about tonight, I knew nothing about until I researched.
My only knowledge of Black Knight was that picture. The 13,000-year-old satellite that's around space, and a very small inkling of that it has something to do with the Earth's technological advancement in regards to, similar to Star Trek, of, ooh, shit, you ready? We'll come and see you scenario.
Yeah. A photograph in 1998 appeared, which is on screen right now. which is 65 on your notes there.
66.
It's 66, sorry. Yeah, 66 on your notes. That's
Yeah.
what I'm showing on screen right now.
There were 6 pictures taken, and 66 is the famous one.
66 is the famous one, yeah. This was the first ever proof of the Black Knight. And it wasn't in the Black Knight, it was just this picture was taken, then this story around, and then with this picture people linked all these things we talked about tonight to it, and the Black Knight theory was born.
Well, it was, and this picture for me wasn't even, in my imagination, there was no challenge to this picture.
It was irrefutable.
But the space people have taken a photo of this in orbit, look at this shit. It's like, holy fucking what?
So, during the this photograph was taken in 1998 during the STS-88 mission. It's been widely claimed to be the Black Knight satellite. Right. Everything else, everything else I've got about, unfortunately, is debunking it. So unless you've got something in favour of it.
No, so let's just take a quick step back. So, in 1988, America launched the STS-88 mission to go to the ISS station. It was the first one.
It was the American module attaching to the Russian module.
Correct. So
because the Russian module had gone up, and the ISS was basically, where it's now a collection of modules. It was only one module which was Russian.
Yeah.
And it was America going up against it. It was the first time ever. It was a massive thing. America and Russia
working together,
coming together, connecting together, collaborating in space.
And people believe that was the true end of the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was the space race isn't there to be won anymore.
You can't weaponise space if you're both there together. It's like Russia got nukes in space, well, the Yankees were on the same fucking station as them.
Exactly. So this is the first time that they've gone up and gone, let's go together, let's collaborate together. So it was a massive deal, a huge deal, the STS-88. So they've gone to space, they've tracked and they've docked already with the ISS. It was much smaller than it is today. It's been grown and grown.
Yeah, it was only, like I said, it was on the Russian module.
Yeah.
And then linking the American module, I think there's fucking multiple American, multiple Russian. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's certainly bigger now. And on that mission, when they arrived there for the first time, what we saw for the first time is astronauts on the STS took 6 pictures. Now, we're going to go into more detail in a minute, but 6 pictures became famous, and one of those pictures
became iconic.
The most famous. So,
became iconic. There's no better way to describe it than iconic.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could show that picture to, I reckon you could take pictures of people in the street, and you'd get over 50% of them say that's the Black Knight satellite.
Yeah.
With random strangers, you went, oh, do you know what this is? No, no, it's the Black Knight satellite.
Yeah.
Or something, no, they call it Black Knight or something, or maybe not name it Black Knight, but go, oh, yeah, that's a space probe that's watching us.
Well, the funny thing is, you can actually go onto the NASA website and they host those pictures. So you can see all 6. So 66 is the most famous.
Only recently, the link didn't work for 3 years, which spawned more ideas of cover up and stuff.
This is weird.
Because it was NASA upgraded their system.
And it's still true.
And the link didn't work for 3 years.
If you go into...
or as if you go about it a certain way,
yeah,
it comes a dead link. Yeah.
I'm going to show you something, just for Badger, just so you can see. What have I said there? On that one.
I was just trying to find the photos, so I can see his photos of 6571. Which are the black photos that have been which are the black photos that have been removed?
So even now, if you go specifically into, so I posted in a video about the Black Knight investigating this. If you go straight to the website and go STS-88-07066 or whatever it is for the photo, if you go, I want to see that specifically, you can't find it. But if you go into the STS-88 mission, go via the photos and go via a different loop,
then you find it. So it's a broken loop.
But if you go, I want to see this photo specifically, you can't.
NASA won't let you.
They've removed the 7 photos, 6 photos. They've removed specifically 6 photos, which are these photos.
But so if you go the other way around,
Only
the 6 photos are still missing. Or
you can't. Yeah, you have to go via different links. So you can't go into the website and go, I want to.
no, but so if you go around the houses, there's 6 photos still there.
Yes.
But that does fuel fight to the conspiracy that why you're hiding them.
Of course it does. It's weird because
it's like NASA going, well, they're publicly available, so I don't know what you're moaning about.
But you have to.
But you have to be really fucking dedicated to get them.
100%, yeah, 100%. So it's like you can't just go into NASA and go and look for them specifically for that photo with its exact tag. It goes can't be found. I can't find it.
So what they've done is they've left those photos in the STS-88 album.
Yeah.
But just removed those tags from those photos.
They don't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the photos are there, but they just don't have a tag on them. Basically. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. So.
Why? Yeah. That does make you think. Why would NASA do that?
Yeah, but if you put in that, so we'll put it in the link.
We'll put it in the description. Yeah.
But if you put the actual tag in, you'll find it.
That URL, yeah.
Yeah. But if you search for that in the NASA, you can't find it.
Yeah. So it's basically like so.
It exists, but you can't search for it.
Yeah. Basically, what they're doing is going, yeah, they're on public record. They're there on public record, but we're going to make you hunt for it.
Yeah.
But whereas you should just put the catalogue number for the photo in and it comes up. Because you put the catalogue number in for any other photo from that mission. It's all there. So you kind of got NASA going, we're not hiding it. You kind of are. So you can understand where the conspiracy starts coming up.
100%.
And it's like, oh, it's just these 6 photos. Yeah, it's those 6 photos are the most important ones from that mission.
Yeah.
That happen to be not properly tagged.
Yes.
Or they used to be tagged, but they've had the tags removed.
I assume it's because of so much interest. But yeah, it's weird.
Well, the official NASA explanation was they updated their systems and we won't hide them, we just update our systems and
it's a shit excuse.
But if you updated your systems fucking 6 years ago, you could have tagged them by now.
It's a shit excuse.
Yeah.
It really is. If you want to find them, you can get them, but you can't search for them.
Yeah, I would bet say NASA going the public available, but we're going to make you work for it.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder why.
Why, exactly.
Yeah. So you can see why the conspiracy comes along. So, Jerry Ross pointed out that the ISS was in the midst of being constructed when images were taken. The US team, he said, was on its way to attach the American module to the one created by the Russians, and as part of that work, they'd taken 4 trunnion pin thermal covers with them. The task was to wrap these around 4 bare trunnion pins, these being rods that attached the module to the shuttle while it was being transported. This would act to prevent heat loss from the exposed metal.
Yeah, so when it docks, so when a space rocket...
When the shuttle docks
to the space station, it docks to these pins, so it can go into the loading bay. But the pins expose the station, so the idea is that when the shuttle leaves, that these trunnion pins, like basically big plastic pins, but they expose the metal of the station. So the idea is that, well, you can't just leave them exposed because heat will expose. So you need to cover them. And the idea is that thermal blankets, silver on one side, material on the other. You put the metal on the metal, and it'll stop the heat exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, during one of the extravehicular activities, EVA, things went a little bit wrong. And one of the covers came loose from its tether, causing it to float away along with some other items. Jerry, one of those thermal covers got away from you, said Commander Robert Cabana, and it soon became apparent that they wouldn't be getting it back.
Well, he said when he finally noticed where it was irrecoverable. He couldn't fly out and get it. He couldn't do a quick jump.
Yeah, but we're saying from the audio records,
yeah,
is just Commander Robert Cabana's inside the ISS going, Jerry, one of those thermal covers got away from you, and he's like, what? Oh, fuck.
It's too far now.
We can't get that back. It's not like you can just walk go, pick that up and go. It's like, no, you got to jet propulsions get out there and get back and option to do
Have you
it.
seen the footage?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you see there's two pieces of footage. There's one outside where you see it circling towards the camera. You can see it getting away. And there's also wonderful footage where the pictures were taken inside the shuttle. Brilliant footage.
I mean, there's one I'll say, I can't remember the name of the astronaut now, but there's one where when the ISS were getting built, I used to watch the spacewalks in the EVA because you'd be able to watch them online.
Yeah.
And I remember someone dropped a spanner and it just floated off towards Earth.
Yeah.
And the astronaut goes, well, there goes $13 million.
Bravo.
And since that walk, spanners are attached to little hooks on their arms now.
Bravo.
So like you have a spanner and it has a wire from it with a hook on it to the bottom. But he went like, he went, well there goes, and it's on the actual NASA recording where it goes, well there goes $13 million.
According to Independence Day, it's $30,000 an hour, mate. $40,000 a toilet seat. Yeah.
But yeah, I just love his blasé about it, like, whoops, there goes $13 million.
But in space though, they genuinely go, I can't do fuck all of this. Just let it go.
Yeah, just like, well, what I know, fucking get Earth will burn it up.
Yeah.
It'll burn up in Earth's atmosphere, it's fine. Yeah.
It's just classic.
We fucking took Mir into space atmosphere.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that when the crashed Mir space station burnt up in Earth's atmosphere. But no, were you going to drop it into, yeah, so we switched engines, we've got a decayed orbit, it'll burn up in atmosphere. Will any of it exist? Don't know. What big parts of it exist, where will it hit? We don't know. Well, Mir's been malfunctioning for about a fucking decade with no control over it. We just switched its engines and it's going to crash somewhere. Like, it literally, when the Russians burned up Mir, like, it fell into Earth's orbit and burnt up and just disintegrated. Could have quite easily just crashed into fucking America and wiped it out and killed all life on Earth. Russia went, we don't know.
America will always go, and to be fair to them, they go, we're going to make it land in the fucking ocean.
It's going to land in this square kilometre of the ocean.
Russians go,
At this time, and Russia go,
you'll be right.
It might land on Russia. Yeah, if it does, it'll wipe out all life on Earth. Yeah, but what if it lands on America? It's going to wipe out all life on Earth. I don't know. We put it on there, but never thought of bringing it back down.
I've got vodka, I am happy. There are, in fact, I'll see whether I can get the links in. There's two wonderful pieces of video footage. Brilliant. So, as we were talking there, you see the blanket getting away from him.
Yeah.
And you see it sort of folding over itself, like coming towards you in space. And there's some brilliant other footage as well. So when these 6 photos were taken inside the module, so there's 6 photos quickly snapped. But there's also, as those photos have been taken, you see the video footage as well of this thermal blanket, like silver side going towards the sun, getting really bright, turning the other round, getting really dark,
side, yeah.
sort of folding on itself and propelling through space. And the 6 photos that we see are of that video footage. That's still
Yeah, there's still some of that video footage. Yeah.
And do you know what? It's like, of all the iconic video footage you can take, for me, I didn't even know this existed. And for me, it's like, I looked at it and went...
I knew that picture was iconic and existed. Yeah. I didn't know it was a still from a video.
And you watch that video and you go, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. Like, and you can look at it and go, do you know, just seeing... It's okay seeing pictures and someone going... Like, Ectoplasm made some brilliant comparisons about this thermal blanket that was flying through space. But it's all like someone going, well, I can't see this, I can't see this. There's a point on the video where you're just watching it, and if you pay close attention, again, we'll put it in the link, but you pay close attention, the iconic photo that we see...
You can see for a second, can't you?
For a split second you can go, that's it.
That's a photo, and it's going to get,
Yeah. And you can genuinely see it, and do you know, there's a part of my...
I'd say I don't get to closing, but that half second of video killed my childhood.
Well, there's no closing yet because there's stuff to come. But,
yeah, no,
but my fucking iron heart melted.
Yeah.
But once that split second...
No, that's it, yeah.
The photo is right there.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion,
Yeah, I'm going to fully agree with you. So,
There's absolutely no disputing it.
that's it. Subsequently captured on camera, this black object was given the number 025570 by NASA. And a few days later, the object fell from orbit and burned up. Far from being an extraterrestrial object, the black item floating in space was nothing more than a blanket. Former NASA space engineer James Oberg, who personally knows Ross and the person who took the photos, Sergei Kirkorov, has gone to great lengths to show that. And I quote, "Before leaving NASA, I led the trajectory design team that produced the mission profile," Oberg told All About Space. "Every step of the way, there is consistency with what I learned as a lifelong spaceflight operations specialist. Why the blankets were needed, why one of them came loose, why it floated off the way it did. The difference is, for the general public, all these features are unearthly to folks who think only familiar with the Earth-side principles of heating, working, motion, and dozens of other never before encountered in history aspects of outer space."
So yeah,
So it's basically gone. I'm trained in space operations. Everything I see in that video is exactly why that blanket was there, what it was for, how it came loose, how it fucking unfurled as it folded in itself as it rolled away. All makes sense. The difference is people on Earth are using Earth-based physics in a zero gravity environment. So it doesn't work the same.
What we'll do is, this was the big kicker for me, and I'll put the two videos that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
The first one from the outside of the it's about 5 minutes long, where you see it on loop and you see it slowly folding through space. But the most important footage for me, without shadow of a doubt, is the American astronauts inside the capsule, through the window, recording.
We were Russian astronauts in the capsule.
They didn't record it. They were with Americans.
No, it was Americans outside, Russians inside.
Well, whoever filmed
Yeah.
it in that case, where you see it folding through space, and then you get to that point where you go, that's the picture, and it continues to fold. From genuine footage, that is, if anyone believes in the picture, that particular picture of Black Knight,
that footage is the debunker.
Yes. And do you know what? Whilst it's heartbreaking footage because it blows me up, it's also mind blowing at the same time. Like it's they're in awe. It's like you've let it get away.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh man, look at this, Jerry! Look what's happening."
Well, that's probably like £1 million blanket. They're all going, "I'm falling this because I'll get fucking fired when we get down to Earth.
Your fucking taxi's fucked by the time we get back." Yeah, but it's such lovely footage as well. It doesn't last long, but you know, when you're watching it though, and you're seeing Earth, and you're seeing this just like this little blanket folding towards Earth, ready to burn up. It just looks so great. It just does.
So yeah, that footage just seals it. It sends it home.
If you look at the blanket as well, how it fits perfectly over the trunnion pins, why it's supposed to be there, it's just, I don't know. That we talked about this with the moon landings and a couple of
It's
other things.
regolith all over again, innit? It's regolith all over again.
This is a dagger to the heart, this footage.
Well, I'm ready going to closing now. If you are.
I just want to talk about a couple of topical things after.
Alright, go on then.
Because since 1998, there's clearly not being
Anything else?
Well, it's not the end of the Black Knight satellite. So there's a few more things. Firstly, some people speculate that the X-37B orbital test vehicle. This is the shuttle went on the Earth for 2 years without being manned.
Yeah, the unmanned special. This is a fucking massive achievement.
It is.
But no one knows what we're doing.
Yeah.
Who knew it was mission for 2 years?
No idea. And the speculation is, clearly, another part of the speculation is...
It was capturing the Black Knight satellite or
not
docking with
capturing
it.
but trying to find it.
Looking for it.
Yeah, because I don't know where it is. So this thing was this shuttle for 2 years was orbiting every known place on Earth continually for over 2 years to try to find the fucking thing. They know it's there, it's cloaked, but they can't find it. So they would
When did it become cloaked? How did it become cloaked? Took a picture of it.
Well, we didn't take a picture of it, but
So now it's cloaked, is it
so
now?
NASA know it's there.
Right.
It's this technology now. It goes. I've been seen. Now it can't be seen.
Cloak now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go try and find it. So that's a big fucking stretch.
Yeah,
But
that's a massive stretch.
I just wanted to put that one out there because I've seen people genuinely believe. This is a conspiracy in its own, by the way. We might even get to it because this is a big fucker. But
Oh yeah, we put a shuttle into space, an unmanned shuttle on a 2-year orbit around space. Yeah, we did that. Alright, what did you do it for? Classified. No, but you're telling us you put an orbit. But also, not only was it in orbit for 2 years around the Earth, and we don't know why, do you know why we know it was in orbit around the Earth for 2 years?
Russia?
Nope.
I don't know then.
Something went wrong on board and they had to land it at a certain time, which meant they couldn't hide it.
Oh really?
People could see it's landing.
Oh, in Eden.
It was in Cape Canaveral, I think it was.
Oh, why didn't you know that Leeds and Eden there?
But it had to come down early.
Right.
It was supposed to be there for 3 years, but it only lasted 2 because something went wrong, so they brought it down.
All right.
Oh yeah, that's been up there for 2 years. It went up 2 years ago, and yeah. Well, what for? I'm not saying it. Well, what's it come back down with? Oh, it had some kind of failure, so we had to bring it down early. We had to bring it down while we still could. But what were you doing up there? Nah, I'm classified. I'm not telling you.
Fair enough. How many more?
There's an episode and it's sent.
Yeah.
Well, probably not, because that's probably the episode I've just done.
Spotlight.
That's how the upset. No, but that's all the information on it. Like,
Honestly, I've seen some shit on this thing. Some of the what's that UFO site that you look on YouTube? Something 10.
Secure Team 10.
Yeah. So
For fuck's sake.
those hilarious bastards. They showed.
Oh, it's one guy.
Is it
One
one
guy
guy?
called Tyler.
All right. So they warped some video footage. So it's when I looked at it, it looks a bit weird. So it was completely black in one, and sort of. If you imagine the screen in 3 frames, completely black on the left frame. So first third completely black, last third completely black, and in the middle.
Do you know what's really funny, right? So I saw this link on I saw this on a Daily
Right.
Mail article
Oh right, okay.
online, right? And I subscribed to Secure Team 10 because I like a bit of comedy. So I went back through his videos
Right.
to get it so I could get the link to put in the description because I thought this might come up. He's deleted the video,
Oh, is it? Right.
but it's still on the Daily Mail website.
Embedded, I imagine.
No, because if it's an embedded video, then you can like right-click copy video URL.
Oh right, okay.
There's not an option when you right-click on the Daily Mail article. There's no option to copy video URL.
So they've not deleted the.
I can't find it on his YouTube channel, but I can watch it on the Daily Mail article.
Right.
But like, I run my website Stuff Presents. So when I have a video on my articles, like a trailer for a game or something like that, you can right-click it, copy video URL, and it'll just put the YouTube link to that video.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to make any money out of other people's videos and shit. It's their video, it's on there. Go to them and watch it, subscribe to them, whatever, right? But the Daily Mail one, you can't.
Right.
So it's like the Daily Mail have downloaded it from YouTube and uploaded it to their website.
But why?
I don't know why they've done that. So they get the views, not him. I don't know. But you go to his channel, the video's not there anymore. So you can only watch it. I'll put the link in the description to the Daily Mail
Few
article.
links to watch.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the Daily Mail article, but yeah, you can't find it on the Secure Team 10 channel anymore.
Well, in case that disappears, there's first third of the screen black, last third of the screen black. In the middle third, it shows a big bright object coming to screen. It looks like a big meteorite. And then it's really weird because you see some stars, and as the screen's moving across, stars disappears into blackness. So you can tell it's being edited, without a doubt. As this big, massive ball of light comes in, then starts to break up, then a little pod flies out the other end. And the argument is, it's like, and then you see this like little yellow thing in the bottom of the corner, and he's saying, this Illuminati spacecraft has just attacked this big craft.
And the little bit coming out is the escape pod.
Yeah, but this becomes a Black Knight. Somehow.
Mm-hmm.
However, do you know what it really was? Do you know what it was? No. So, what it really was...
I've seen that video on the Daily Mail article, that was it. Go on.
It was the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, JAXA. It was a Hayabusa spacecraft returning. It went to land on an asteroid, on a comet. It landed on the comet.
Which was fucking impressive. You know how fast comets move?
It was absolutely amazing. Amazing
It's
technology.
going off at the top, but the Americans did it a bit back. They landed an asteroid on a comet.
Right.
Landed an asteroid on a comet.
Well, it's an asteroid, but...
Landed a probe on a comet.
Yeah.
Got samples and came back to Earth. Yeah. Right. And my favourite thing out of all of that was the dude that was doing all the interviews was this pretty heavy set guy.
Yeah.
A Hawaiian shirt with naked women on, with fucking tattoos all down his arm. And my favourite thing out of all that was, you'll never get a job with all those tattoos. Just like the probe on the comet, bitch. Well, look what he went on the news with like his blue shirt with like naked women with the tits out all over it. Dude didn't give a shit, tattoos all over.
Find me, you bastards. I just landed on a fucking comet.
I landed a probe on a comet. Do me, come on.
What are you gonna do?
What the fuck are you gonna do?
It's not working in B&M.
No, because we talk about astronomy and stuff, and like talk about comets and stuff, but we don't. It's unfathomable. Some of the measurements they're talking.
And the comet is really small.
But when they're talking, I think the comet was travelling like 166,000 miles an hour or something stupid.
Madness. Absolute madness.
And you're going to send someone up to interject with it and land on it. So you have to go at the same speed as it to land.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous. It's stupid speeds.
And all you needed was tits on your t-shirt.
Yeah. Tits on your t-shirt, you do it.
Yeah.
No,
that's next week's episode.
Scratch that, tell that way. That guy's fucking awesome. I wish I remembered his name on the top of my head. But yeah, he didn't get the job because he got tits on his t-shirt. He got the job because he's fucking good at what he does.
However, to the point, so the Hayabusa studied the asteroid's spin topography, colour composition, density and history. And in November 2005, it landed on the asteroid, collected all its samples, and in 13th of June 2010, it came back through the atmosphere. That was the video. If you watch the unwalked video, you see it coming through, breaking up, and then the pod ejecting. And it's got nothing to do with Black Knight. It's just genuinely Japanese video. So watching side by side, it's a Japanese video footage. Two more quick things.
Wrong.
One, and we've debunked this already, but one of the things that continually comes up, which frustrates me, is the Mayan tomb statue of the man in the spaceship.
No, not having that. We're not putting that in as evidence. That we're going to ancient alien shit now, right? Which that has some relevance in discussion. Like the dude in the spaceship, the Mayan pyramid. That's nothing to do with this.
The argument is him and so that photo 66 we were talking about, which is the one that's the most famous.
Yeah.
It's kind of shaped like he was like this Mayan man in a spacecraft.
Yeah, but it's also kind of shaped like a rocket booster. It's kind of shaped like this.
I don't believe it, but people at home will fucking think this is true. Not being telling people watching this video. There's other people who
I remember when our first 3 videos have gone out.
Right.
One of your friends said you should be a lawyer because the way you keep asking why this and why that. Yeah. So if your friend's still watching and believes that, I'm counting that as inadmissible to this court.
That's bullshit. However, we've always said, even if you think it's fucking nonsense, absolute bullshit. We'll give it a minute. It's nonsense.
I won't give that a minute. I won't give it 10 seconds. That's got It's got maybe 10, 15 minutes of exploration in a different episode, in a different thing. In this episode, has no fucking relevance to this episode at all.
But brought it up just for that.
Alright, fair enough.
I've done it, as you can all fuck off. Last one. The last one is, before anybody says...
I feel like I'm getting Randy Kramer there and I'm not biting.
No. So Ectoplasm 8 did a really good job,
Right.
by the way, of looking at the heat shields. So I don't even know if I got the link for this, but look at people at home. Go Google Ectoplasm 8 explanation for STS-88.
Ectoplasm 8, is that a website or a YouTube
No,
channel?
that's a
or...
person's name. I think it was an Above Top Secret. He put his name on there.
Right, okay.
So look at Above Top Secret, Ectoplasm 8, and he explains perfectly all the nooks of the blanket. Perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Picture by picture, brilliant explanation. Alongside
I can see, I can see the picture showing me. He's pointing out like that little cut there. The little cut here is the same cut on there.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful explanation. So go look at Ectoplasm 8's pictures. It's quite famous actually. This now.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone around a lot, but it's on Above Top Secret. But the last thing I do want to say is, before anybody, there was an argument that the Black Knight had been shot down previously, and one of the evidences that I want to talk to you about is has it been shot down? I was looking at some video footage of, do Americans shoot down satellites? And actually found one. So the military actually released a video of them shooting down a Chinese spy satellite. So
I didn't know that would have thing, to be fair.
yeah, so
But yeah,
so they tracked this Chinese spy satellite and went, that's not ours. It's got no numbers, it's got no markings, I don't know who it is, just fucking shot it down. So it's called they used an SM-3 missile, or Standard Missile 3. The US Navy Aegis, AEGIS, cruiser on the Lake Erie destroyed this satellite. So you can see on YouTube the US military going, and this was in 2013, going, that's not ours, I'm not having that, shot it down. So my argument will be, if the Black Knight satellite exists,
If America just destroyed it.
they would have fucking shot it down in 1985.
Yeah. But luckily it stopped broadcasting in 1975, so it's okay.
It's because they shot it down. But I know we'll rush through a little bit at the end, but I have nothing else to give. We've gone through the X-37B orbital tests. The one thing I would say is the one I started the discussion against my better judgment.
Never fucking
About
never fuck with crazies.
So I'm going to copy you my genuine response.
Go on.
I gave all this evidence,
Mm-hmm.
right, and this is my response. You read that out.
First of all, NASA is CIA operated organisation. Have you ever heard of disinformation?
That was their response to the whole of my evidence.
Wow. One word that comes to mind with that. Convenient.
CIA, I've covered all of it up, and it's disinformation.
Any argument I put to you, have you ever heard of disinformation? No, but it's this. Oh, you've never heard of disinformation, dickhead.
NASA's part of the CIA, and it's all the disinformation cover-up. All the shit you see is a cover-up. It exists, and all this other stuff is dirty in the waters, so you can't get to
Even though all the incidents that we spoke about, well, about half the incidents we spoke about, happened before NASA existed.
But yes, but since NASA's become an organisation, they muddied all the waters and fucking covered the rest up.
Alright, so they poisoned the well, muddied the waters, and
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the only argument I had back. That one.
Right, I'm going to closing.
Please do. I'll let you.
And it's going to be quick.
Yes, please do.
Actually, I have one more bit just before we go to closing. It kind of goes with what you said. I've got one more bit here. Because we don't bring new evidence to closing. I have one more bit I want to bring up. So, according to Senior Education Support Officer Martha Redpath of Armagh Planetarium in Northern Ireland,
Armour.
sorry. And I quote, Black Night is a jumble of completely unrelated stories, reports of unusual science observations, authors promoting fringe ideas, classified spy satellites, and people over-interpreting photos. These ingredients have been chopped up, stirred together, and stewed on the internet to one rambling and inconsistent dollop of myth.
Perfect.
I'm closed. Honestly, I don't know. We mentioned earlier as kids we saw this, and it was TV, the only information we had. It was amazing. This alien civilization is looking out over us until we reach a certain point, and when we're ready to accept that aliens exist, and they're going to come in and announce us, and that's why they're watching us. And yeah, there is. I'm not going to sit here and debunk Black Knight Satellite, because everything we've gone through tonight doesn't mention Black Knight Satellite once. Everything in the Black Knight conspiracy fails to mention the Black Knight Satellite.
It's not messing the question. Does that believe?
That does not believe. And it fucking... The child in me is dying yet again.
Sorry, mate. This channel's fucked us, on it.
It's fucked us. But there's nothing in all the evidence we've given tonight for the existence of the Black Knight Satellite. Not one bit of evidence mentions the Black Knight Satellite.
Not in name.
And nothing. It only links together because someone somewhere that I can't pin down where the Black Knight Satellite story started. I can't pin down the first time it was coined about, other than that photograph. That photograph is the best point of origin I've got for it. And everything else has been tacked onto that photograph afterwards.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
So, if I look back at, we talked about 1899 Tesla, we've given an explanation about Tesla. 1923.
Oh, there's a lot of things I can't explain.
No, but the thing is that Tesla...
We don't know what long ray echoes are.
But there's some good...
science to what they might be.
Yeah. And they make sense.
They make sense, but we don't know what they are.
No, it's true.
But
it doesn't mean
we don't
it has
know.
to be a satellite.
No. We don't know where the signal came from that Nikola Tesla got.
Got a good idea.
We don't know if Nikola Tesla even got a signal.
It's true.
If we believe we got one, we don't know where it came from. LDEs, we don't know what they are. We have a pretty good idea what they might be.
But it's not a satellite. Why is it linked to the satellite?
Nothing.
Donald Keyhoe, 1954. Basically, sold the story to Sanders UFO book.
Yeah.
The 1960 spy satellite. It turned out, 1992. It turned out to be the Corona. How ironic. Because Corona is fucking us right now.
Fucking us right now, yeah. Duncan Lunnan.
He's come out and said, I've been misquoted and I fucking retracted my payment a year later.
Yeah. I retracted my paper, but people still kept citing it. It's not my fault to do that.
The STS, the big fucking tamale. I was prepared
the
to go...
smoking gun of it.
I was prepared to go for a big long conversation, but just watch the video.
Yeah.
And that's enough. And that fucking killed me, that video. Because that killed the conspiracy.
Yeah. That killed it dead, done it.
So, just I believe, of course I fucking do. No. Unfortunately, Badger, I said at the beginning of this video, this is the one I really wanted to believe.
This is one of those fucking Mulder from X-Files video.
I want to believe.
It's I don't believe, but I fucking want to. I'd like to think there's some alien civilization out there monitoring our progression, but not just us, but thousands of planets out there. And every time we reach a certain point, they'll come and say hello. I fucking love that. That'd be amazing if that were true.
So I'm going to say something now that I don't know if you'll agree with, but of all the videos we've done on the Black Knight Satellite, hurts me a lot to say this, but this was, in my opinion, the easiest one to debunk, even above is Paul McCartney dead.
Yeah, this is the worst video we've ever done.
We don't have any evidence.
Because is Paul McCartney dead? There was a bit of interpretation. I'll go back to Hitler to South America. We came on opposite sides of the fence.
Could be swayed, yeah.
We came on opposite sides of the fence on that. The moon landing hurt because it kind of destroyed that childhood thing. But
there's still a good argument against it.
But there's still a good argument for the moon landing thing. Like, we came down on the moon landings were real. But there's people out there that could watch our video on that and then still go, no, I think you're wrong because of this and this. Like, it's still up for debate. I think Regolith kind of kills the debate, but it's still up there.
Regolith.
There's still some debate there. There's no evidence this even fucking exists.
There's no debate.
So what am I debating with you?
There's no debate at all.
That hurts most. I spent, since I was 13, 14 years old, I thought this satellite were out there, and when I said to you last Monday, I'm fucking 40 in September. From 13 to yesterday, sorry, I believed that this satellite was in space, it was an alien satellite watching Earth and thinking, and then now it's just like, I can't, it's not even up to interpret it, it's not there. Every bit of evidence we've got doesn't mention it.
No.
It is essentially a freeze frame of a video and then all this evidence put in to back up this picture.
Evidence.
That's it.
So...
Sorry, not evidence. That's it. It's a freeze frame of a video and then all these events.
A backstory. Yeah.
All these events have been put in to fit the narrative.
And it's so frustrating that I even let myself believe this. And I think I didn't challenge it because I kind of knew. I must have, like, my brain's going...
But you know, it hurts more than moon landing, I think, because the moon landing was the big one, was the fucking OG, and I hurt to come down the side of things that the moon landings are real, because of being a conspiracy theorist and all that lot. And it was glaringly obvious that they're real. This one was like, you know, it was a Black Knight. I mean, I said to you Black Knight last Monday, so it's Black Knight satellite. Let's do that because this 13,000-year-old satellite's orbit. You know, this would be fun to do. And all my research into it, and all your research into which I had nothing to do with, I had no idea what you were going to be telling. Like, none of us have gone, there it is.
Nothing. There's no physical
evidence. This is a fucking Reddit story. This is people who've got different bits of evidence, got a photo, taken different events through history and gone, I'll write a story that joins them together. That's what hurts most, is that, are the moon landings real? No, because they're regular. The moon landings are real.
Well, that was a killer. Not just because of regular.
Yeah, but there's more to it than that, but regular is
feet on the moon, the regular was a killer.
Yeah. So, but we can argue whether it was or it wasn't. And I feel that if I had that argument in a pub tomorrow, I'm more informed on the moon landing, even though I believe the real now, and it hurt me to believe the real, I'm more informed than your general guy down the pub, and I can argue with him. This is just... I said, let's do Black Knight satellite. And a week later, I'm sat there going, what?
Exactly.
It doesn't exist. It's never existed.
It's just...
It's not even up for debate. It's not like, do you believe we landed on the moon or don't you? Did we do this? Did Hitler go to South America or didn't it? Is Donald Trump a time traveller or isn't it? This is like, is the Black Knight satellite real? Well, no one's given me any proof it even fucking existed ever.
There's not even a single shred of conversational evidence. Every other conspiracy we've done before, it's like, there's a thread where you can go, even if I've only ever fallen on the side of yes once, that's TR3B. Right? The others, sometimes I've been like, blood is right up my arse.
Possibly, maybe, yeah.
I've been close because there's been threads of evidence. This is the first ever one I've gone. It's a whole conspiracy built on zero threads of evidence of any kind. This, in my opinion, this is the easiest that I does not believe, but in a weird way, it's also
It's
the
the
hardest
worst
one.
one. Yeah, it's the hardest one. Because it's that thing of, will the moon landing is real, will the fake? Oh, you can fall down either side, you've got an opinion either side, there's debate, there's consequence. This was just like, does a black knight exist? Blatantly fucking not.
And it makes you feel silly. This is
And it
why
makes me
hurts.
feel stupid
It
for
hurts
believing
more.
it in nearly 20 fucking years.
And it hurts more because we've had a belief on a photo that if we just spent 5 minutes going, is that real?
We know
Believe
it's
it never
not.
exists, yeah.
Yeah.
So
If we hadn't done this channel, I'd have continued believing the Black Knight satellite were real.
I wanted to think that we had this safety blanket based a higher power. Because I don't believe in God, right? But I had this safety blanket.
There's a higher civilization out there.
We're going, do you know what? Let's just make sure they don't fucking kill themselves because they might have something about them.
Yeah.
Let's go to World War III and nuke the bastards.
They see our potential, but they want to make sure when we get. You know, when we get this thing with UFOs that have flown over and turned nukes off.
Yeah. We'll do Rendlesham one day.
We'll do it, but they look at. And this is the thing, like. I love what we do,
I hate what we do sometimes.
but I'm a conspiracy. Honestly, genuinely, seriously, hand on my heart. There's my hand, there's my heart. I'm a conspiracy theorist.
So mine, big time.
But this channel makes me out to be debunking everything.
I've done more than you and it hurts badly.
I'm scared of doing Roswell. And that's going to come at some point. We have to cover it at some point.
We do.
But I'm fucking scared to do it.
There's some that I hold dear. And I'm scared to tackle them.
Roswell's the fucking... the golden nugget. Roswell's the...
I've got Roswell, I've got 9/11, I've
Yeah.
got a few in there that I'm thinking, shit, I believe them. I don't have a cognitive dissonance. I'm happy to release
But
that.
there's part of me right now going, I don't want to research Roswell. I believe the moon landing was fake. I believe the Black Knight satellite existed. I don't want to review Roswell. I don't want to research it because don't we think that Roswell's fake as well?
What we're going to do is Santa real next week.
I'm gone. We're done.
So, anyway, we've come
On that note,
we've come to the end. So, I don't believe. Badger doesn't believe. To be fair, it hurts, but this is the easiest that does not believe.
I'm gonna say like it feels weird to go like that does not believe, because we've just spent nearly 3 hours talking about the Black Knight satellite and going at the end of it going, do you believe in the Black Knight satellite? But neither one of us has given evidence that it existed. Nothing of the evidence we've given says the Black Knight satellite's a thing. So
It's
is it even a fucking question to answer?
It's because I think the reason we got to this point is we were both duped, and that's why it's hard.
That's why it's hard. We've been conned. We've been scammed.
We both have.
This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is duping.
This is a good sci-fi story.
As always, if you've got to this point, thank you very much. We hope we've educated you somewhat. If you have a different opinion to us, please let us know in the comments below, because we mention we look at every comment, we reply to every comment, and we love a good debate. So please, if you think we're cunts and you want to say that, there's a line to get in.
Oh.
Don't worry.
A lifeline.
But as always, he's been Craig. I've been Lord Badger. Till next time, see you there.